Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Man, you saw the recap, and I believe that was from Sunday. I think that was a Sunday recap. Ryan Lentz made that one. Shout out to him. Does a great job, as usual. We were down there Sunday, so you know what time it is.
Oh, yeah.
More training camp, baby. I believe they have today off. I don't know for sure. They do. Okay, so they have today off. Plenty to get to today. Great show planned for you all. Thank you for joining us. My guy alengside me, as usual, Sam Flannel. We got JB in the booth, per usual. Gabrielle D. Phillips in the chair. We have Lucas Klotz, as always. TD in the show, holding it down in the booth. Today, at least, we're going to get to a lot. J-Mo, I want to discuss him because I feel like J-Mo is getting unnecessarily judged by everybody for some reason. And
they're just hating the hate.
Yeah, it is. A little bit of haterade, it seems like. Especially after yesterday, and, you know, he got into a little scrappy one-on-one. Yeah, I don't want to call it a fight or anything, but just a little, it was getting heated.
It's football.
Yeah, it's football. It's going to get heated. J-Mo and Starling Thomas, and we'll discuss all that stuff and more. Jared Goff made an interesting list that, hey, gives Jared Goff more credit, and I think he deserves more credit. So we're going to go through that. Matt Broder will be joining us in the second hour to kind of go through what he saw in training camp as well. He was there Sunday when we were all there. He was grinding. He was down there with Ryan Lentz. So he'll be joining us at 9 o'clock. And I also want to do a segment at 8:45, and if you guys are going to stick with us and you plan on wanting to call in, we're going to do a segment just discussing training camp. If you guys have been to training camp, or is there anything you're looking to see in training camp, please call the number. We'll put the number in the chat as well. So we'll be taking phone calls at 8:45. But until then, Sam Flannel, we got to get into some news that at least came out yesterday in the last couple of days. And the first one is the rookies officially have their songs. Jack Campbell, Jahmyr Gibbs. We got to see Aiden Hutchinson sing a little MJ last year on Hard Knocks. Unfortunately, we won't be able to see Jack and Jahmyr up close singing these songs. But, hey, Jack Campbell picked his song. He chose A Country Boy Can Survive by Hank Williams Jr. This is Eric Woodward per ESPN. He said he's thankful it didn't make Hard Knocks. Well, anybody know A Country Boy Can Survive? Does anybody know that song?
Yeah.
You do. You know that song.
I know the song.
Okay. Is it good?
Yeah, I like it. It's classic.
I've never heard of that song, so I don't know whether it's a good song. Please help me out there.
Gabby, can you sing some lyrics for us?
No, it's a little early. I haven't warmed up yet, so I'm okay.
I don't know the song, but A Country Boy Can Survive. That just fits. That's
I think
Jack
it's
Campbell.
so fitting.
Yeah,
I think it's awesome.
And then we got Jahmyr Gibbs selecting a little Mario. He chose "Let Me Love You" by Mario.
What a great song!
Yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs. I wish I could see this performance.
I feel like this would be incredibly awkward.
Baby, I just don't
it'd be awkward to sing one-on-one.
Do you enjoy being
in front of a
hurt?
group full of men?
Yeah, like this, I would tune in. I do know this song, "Let Me Love You" by Mario. I would listen to Jahmyr Gibbs sing this song. Maybe Jack Campbell, I'd be a little lost, but "Let Me Love You" is the choice by Jahmyr Gibbs. Welcome everybody to the chat. People are already chiming in. Steve Wild says Jeff only listens to girly songs as he has his girlfriend kill the spiders.
God. Yeah, in case you guys missed it yesterday, Jeff had a near-death experience. We're at the golf opening, and there was this, maybe if you'd want to call it a honeybee, that just made him scatter up across the room. He screamed like a little girl. Pride was gone. Everything, his dignity gone. The bee took it from him.
I will say that the bees out there were vicious yesterday.
Well, according to Neil Rule, they were like, and Lindsay, they were like, they cannot sting honeybees. Like honeybee, they just want to give me a kiss. That's all they refer to them as. No, these things were real. and I didn't want to get stung, all right? That's all it is. Do I kill spiders? Yes. Do I not want to get stung by a bee? No, I don't.
Both things can be true.
Both things can be true, indeed. So, and that was funny. I had a lot of fun with that. Neil Rule, man, I love Neil because he really can take something so tiny and turn it into something like so big, but he does it so well. Like, I don't know, relax. Like me running from a bee.
He controls harder than anybody at the network for sure.
Like me running from a bee, Neil really took that and made a 15-minute segment out of it. I could never do that.
No.
Like that's like expert level trolling from Neil Rule.
I mean,
I thought it was hilarious.
He's built differently, and trust me, if anybody knows all about that, it would be yours truly. I think we are as the best of on-air frenemies, I will say. But Jeff Iafrate, you've gotten the treatment too, and you got it yesterday. And I think I was the only one in your corner who actually defended you, because I know what it feels like to just have one little thing that you maybe slip up one time in front of Neil Rule, and you do not want to let that happen because
it's blown out of proportion.
He will never let it go.
Yeah, he really does. And you know what the other part is? And by the way, I don't mind, taking the heat for the team. All right, I'm cool with that. Like, let's not act like Lucas was right next to me running away too. Like,
I was not running. I was ducking in there.
We
and I was
were
like,
both.
This thing's getting fucking annoying. This thing's getting annoying, and I stood up and I was like, eh. And then you got the napkin, you were hitting it, and I was like, all right, I'll let him take care of it if he wants to take care of it. Then you're like, here, you want to take care of it?
Yeah, who swung at the bee?
I don't think you swung at it. I'm not saying. I don't think you did though. I don't think I saw a swing.
You didn't even want to swing at it.
I didn't have anything to swing with.
I offered you the napkin.
And then I took the napkin, didn't I?
No, you did not.
Okay, this is where the story's going to the opposite direction.
This is what I love too, man. Like, and by the way, hey, I'll take it on the chin. Listen, if Neil wants to make fun of me, that's fine. But there was multiple guys at the table. Hey, all right, none of us None of us wanted to get stung by a bee. All right, but hey, I'll take the heat. I'm cool with that. It is what it is. But yeah, Neil, and Funky's chiming in. Neil is definitely the biggest troll on the network. It's actually to the point where I can't even watch the show.
Oh.
Well, that's like, that's Funky's
Neil's
opinion.
comedy. No, I love watching Neil. Neil's comedy.
Real Cream of Wheat says, Jeff, you can't blame Neil for your wimpiness. No, I'm not blaming Neil. I trust me, I ran from that bee. Not full speed or anything, but I was juking it. I was hitting him with a Jameer Gibbs move.
You're giving us your Trey Quinn. You're showing what you can do.
Yeah, a little bit of TK85. I was, making some things happen, making some things out of nothing. Steve saying Neil is my favorite. Doc Jill says, Jeff, just say you're allergic. I'm not allergic. I'm not going to pull that one. I'm not. I'm just a bitch. I'm not allergic. Just clear that up.
At least he has accountability here.
Yeah, to bees,
that's all you can ask for.
I will admit, bees,
you're basic.
Bees, sharks, and snakes. All right? I don't know. Those are like the three things that, if you're like, hey, Jeff, you're going to have to go take one of those things down. I'm not. I'm going the opposite way.
But not spiders.
No, spiders I'll kill. I don't care what it is. And spiders don't really bother me. Snakes, though.
I'm the other way.
Gardener snakes don't bother. Like, it is what it is. But, like, now we're talking poisonous snakes. Yeah, like, I'm terrified. And then sharks are a whole nother thing. Like, I'm not even. No, we're not dealing with it. Bees, they're probably on the lower part of that. I mean, snakes and sharks are worse. But, like, a hornet or something, I'm running. So, hey, it is what it is. Those are my fears. I'm honest with you guys, all right? Spiders, though, I'll kill. I have to kill. I'm not going to run for no damn spider. It is what it is. Real Cream of Wheat says there will be no Neil slander. Coach Walk 37 says, I can see sharks and snakes, but bees, they're not in the same category. I understand that. They're not. Steven says, Flannel giving respect to Izzo was dope.
Yeah.
That was kind of random, too. Tom Izzo, shout out to him for joining the show. I feel bad because I had nothing like prepared for Tom Izzo. Like, he just showed up. I didn't know how, what his involvement was with the event, but it was nice speaking to the man.
Yeah, I mean, I think you did a great job, by the way. You asked a question about the event, and I thought that was very, very cool. And yeah, I've always said I'm not a fan of Michigan State basketball or even of Tom Izzo, but I have a lot of respect for him. And here's the thing, and I talked about it with him yesterday, and I've talked about it before. There is no objective argument to anybody being the best Big Ten basketball coach of my lifetime except for Tom Izzo. If there was an argument that I could even fathom making, I would try to make it, but I can't. 8 Final Fours, a national championship.
Oh, yeah.
I do think he's underachieved a little bit in Final Fours, but still, he at least gets to them consistently, and he does have the last Big Ten basketball national championship, with the second most recent being Michigan in 1989. That actually says more about the Big Ten than anything. But much respect to Tom Izzo, and he's a hell of a nice guy, like off the air too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I loved it when he mentioned John Wooden, when he said when he met John Wooden, he was tied for all-time wins, and then he realized, wait, John Wooden has like a handful of more rings than me. Like, that was the one thing he didn't click. But, hey, it shows that there's always another level you can take this. And Tom Izzo, he's as great as he is, the man's still hungry, he's still humble. So, love talking to Tom Izzo. Never a bad conversation with him. Who Farted says, I like how Sam spent 5 minutes telling Tom Izzo that he wants to hate him, but he can't.
I mean, I respect to Sam, though. For staying the same person even when Tom Izzo's there.
Yeah, you have no choice.
Sam keeps that same energy.
Yeah.
Like, Sam didn't switch up. He's very honest. He told him, hey, like, I'm a Michigan fan. I want to hate your guts, but I respect you. And Tom, you could tell, he had fun with that one.
Oh, yeah.
He definitely had fun with that one. I'll tell you what, we'll go to break in a little bit when we get back. I do want to get into that JMO discussion and kind of bring up some tweets that I saw. It was like JPA football, and then I saw somebody else report it. Dov, what do you call him? Dov Kleinberg. Whatever his name is. The dude who's like a journalist, but also he's not. He just gets information for some reason everywhere. All these places talking about JMO and how he had a terrible practice yesterday and how, he's trending downwards. And then there's people that are like credentialed beat reporters, beat writers for the Lions that are like, no. I don't know where you're getting your information, but that's incorrect. We're going to discuss that and much more when we go to break. But before we do that, JB, can you tell everybody about our friends over at Big Boy?
Oh, not a problem. I got you. Because Strawberry Fest is back at Big Boy. Try the classic breakfast items like the strawberry hotcakes or the mouth-watering red velvet waffles. But if you're not feeling breakfast, try the strawberry bacon chicken wrap or cool off with their refreshing summer splash salad. But don't leave without getting some dessert because they have their very delicious classic strawberry pie, deep fried vanilla Oreos, and of course the strawberry hot fudge cakes and so much more at your local Big Boy.
How would you like to win not one, but 2 vehicles of your choice? One for you and one for your wife, your girlfriend, or your best bud. Get to Lady Jane's today for an award-winning haircut and automatically enter for your chance to win. Courtesy of Les Stanford Buick GMC of Ferndale. Lady Jane's, open 7 days a week, walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome. We are the network for Detroit, by Detroiters. Welcome to the Woodward Sports Network. Woodward Avenue, the first paved road in America. Woodward Sports, the first sports network born in Detroit and made for Detroit.
How would you like to win $100,000 Vegas getaway? 100K Vegas getaway. I repeat. Take your closest friends and live up in the city that never sleeps. It's the Cintron Energy. Drink it and live it. Purchase a 24-pack today, and you're entered to win the 100K Vegas getaway at drinkcintron.com/Vegas and buy a Cintron at your local Meijer. Cintron, the healthier energy drink with a great taste and the choice of people who desire to look good, feel great, and be the best versions of themselves. All you got to do is visit drinkcintron.com/Vegas for more information. Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's nice to see the YouTube channel growing. Lucas, you guys have been doing a great job with that, making sure things are all being redirected to the YouTube channel. Almost at 46,000 subscribers, so please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit the like button. We'll try to get to 50 likes by the end of this segment. But guys, don't forget, if you can't watch the show live on YouTube, it's all good. Go back, re-listen, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Leave a 5-star review for the Morning Woodward Show. Now it's time to get into JMO. And do you have the tweet by chance of the JMO stuff? Okay, pull the tweet up and we'll kind of read it verbatim and we'll go through this thing. So this was tweeted out yesterday, and this is just one example, by the way. This is the only outlet that put this out. But JPA Football, pretty respected page. I mean, they got a lot of followers. They write, hashtag Lions wide receiver Jameson Williams has been struggling in camp today. Ari Pulley noted. By the way, who is that?
Ari Pulley? I don't know.
That's great information.
Either way, exactly.
It's good to ask, like, when you see this, like, where's the information coming from? Ari Pulley. Okay, great. He dropped 2 passes earlier in practice, struggled in one-on-ones, and threw a punch at rookie DB Starling Thomas after he forced an incomplete pass and began trash-talking. James Williams has had a ton of talent. Hope he can come back from the suspension and show what he can do. Like, by the way, like, that, no. Like, that's not, like, how it's worded, Like, it says he dropped 2 passes early in practice, struggled on one-on-ones, and threw a punch at rookie DB Sterling Thomas. Like, there's no context. Like,
and
those things.
Nothing positive that he did. He just strictly had negative plays in practice that day.
And then you have Matt Broder and company tweeting out, man, Jameson Williams just got C.J. Gardner-Johnson on a red zone play, completely juked him out of his cleats. Like, and they don't write any of this stuff. It's just like, oh, yeah, the guy sucks. He threw a punch at a teammate. He drops every ball that's thrown to him. Like this, okay, this is the problem I have, and I don't know if it's a crowd of people that are just strictly out there like, you know what, this guy, it's something to talk about, like Jameson being suspended for betting, missing most of his rookie season. Like, this is an easy target. Like, this is a guy that has big expectations, and of course, I see one report of him dropping a pass or one report of him and Sterling Thomas getting into it when Travis Kelce just punched the teammate in the back of the head.
Yeah, and it was honestly like, after the play, like the dude was walking back already, then the guy was just making a football play, and you'd expect more out of him, especially because he's a lot older and more of a leader on that team.
Yeah, like this is like you see Travis Kelce swinging at people. Again, it's not to knock Travis Kelce, but this is training camp, guys. Like this is where emotions are high. Like, guys, this is the most. I guess the energy is up before the season. Like, guys are trying to earn roster spots. Guys are getting into it. Doesn't mean they're enemies or anything like that. Like, Sterling Thomas and Jameson are fine. Like, no. Jameson came to the podium and talked about it afterwards.
And I'm sure you saw when we were at training camp, but even when I played in college, like, these practices, they're set up very similar. Like, you don't have time to think in between drills. You're not standing there waiting around. You're constantly going. You can't think, and that's why they set them up this way, so they can see who instinctively is the best football player. When you are going through drills like that, especially when you're JMO, who's normally the fastest guy in the field, and now you have an undrafted rookie who runs a 4.28 that is now competing with you and giving you a hard time, and you got all this noise. Like, yes, that's going to bring some competitive and fire out of you, but this is what you want to see. Would you rather see JMO just sit there and get pushed around? No, you want to see JMO with a chip on his shoulder so he can go out there and prove everybody wrong, and that's what he's showing, and this is completely fine. Like, I'd much rather see fights in camp as long as they're not like Aaron Donald, where you're ripping the helmet off 2 dudes and you're hitting them with it and all that stuff. But as long as there's just like competitive fights, like that's what you want out of a team. Because what's going to happen is they're going to get off the practice field, they're going to look at each other and go like, damn, we just gave each other work. I respect you, you respect me, and then that chemistry starts to bond. And with both how fast those guys are, I mean, I don't know JMO's 40 time off the top of my head because he tore his ACL before he could run the combine. But Sterling Thomas running a 4.28, those are 2 great guys that you'd love have competing every day.
I mean, and just to get to some of these comments too, like Bryce Bennett, y'all are over analyzing, and then you have BigCon 51. Well, you're talking about it, so it did its job. No, we're not talking about it in the same light that they want to talk about it. The reason why I'm bringing this up is so we can address it and we can get the right type of media out there, get the right narrative out there. I hate when things like this lurk on social media and it trends and everybody's retweeting it and there's no one speaking on it. Like, this is why we have a platform. We have the opportunity to bring bullshit like this and break it down and clear the air. Like, that's why I do it.
Set the narrative straight.
Yes, I think that's the point of talking about these things. Like, I don't want this post by JMO. It's unfair. Like, although some of it is true, and we'll be breaking it all down with Broder, like the fact that him and Sterling Thomas got into it, that's true. But JMO also spoke to the media right after and talked about it. Yeah, me and Thomas, we went at each other, but it just makes me bring my best self every play. It makes me want to be great, want to bring it, want to compete. Like, he didn't say anything negative about Thomas. He said, hey, I understand I can't do what I did in practice in a game. That's 15 yards. Like, he said that verbatim. I can't do that. But in training camp, it is what it is. Emotions are high. Tensions are high. Guys are competing. And, of course, do you want your defense to be jawing like that? I do. Like,
yeah, that's what you want your DBs to be doing, because if Sterling Thomas is doing that to Jameson Williams, I'd love to see because Sterling Thomas, I mean, he could. I think it's a left field thing to say, but if he manages to have a starting spot on this team this year, which I doubt he will, but if he's doing that to JMO, imagine what he's going to do to wide receiver 4 and 5s.
Right.
When now you can, like, Sterling, hop in there real quick, Sutton banged his ankle up real quick, go stick him on his speedster. Now that's going to make Sterling Thomas better. It's going to add the depth to the secondary better. But if anything happens, like, this is just going to make Sterling better too. Honestly, what I took away from this is that Sterling Thomas is getting reps with the ones, and he's hanging in there with Jameson Williams more than anything, more than JMO fighting. It's showing, wow, Sterling can actually play.
Yeah, no, dude's a dog. And we talked about him yesterday. It was kind of on time. It was a timely matter. We're right after the show. You start seeing reports of JMO and Sterling getting into it. But Sam Flannel, you've been realistic with JMO. You have big expectations for him, as you should. And you probably, I don't want to say you've been critical, but it's not like you've been hating. Like, you've been real. But what is your opinion on this, just the narrative with J-Mo so far?
So I'm sure you guys have all heard of the 10 Commandments, even you non-religious people. I think Lions fans have put in an 11th commandment, which is thou shalt not criticize Jameson Williams under any reason under any circumstance possible. Because to me, what I saw from these tweets, it wasn't necessarily hating, it was more observing. Obviously, you see guys like Matt Broder, who is one of our beat writers, who tells a completely different story and maybe paints his practice from a more positive standpoint. But unless these guys were making it up, these things probably happened. It probably was just a small part of the practice. My thing with Jameson Williams, and it has always been with Jameson Williams, is for some reason you are just not allowed to criticize him for any reason right now. He has earned sort of this status that I don't think he has actually deserved. I feel like Lions fans, and I know this is going to upset a lot of you people, it might even upset some of you in this room. Lions fans want to make Jameson Williams a victim so bad that they look at this as hating. What about this is hating? It's just observing at this point.
Because it's so out of context.
Let me
are we
compare
talking
it.
about C.J. Gardner-Johnson getting into a fight with Khalif Raymond and getting burnt by Jameson Williams? No. And that's why I think it's just J-Mo, whenever he does something bad, people are so quick to jump on it because they know that's going to get him clicks. And it's like, what did he actually do bad yesterday that nobody else does?
Let me be very clear. This isolated incident, I don't necessarily have a problem with. It's just stuff that happens at practice, and I understand that. But you mentioned C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Khalif Raymond. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, the thing that he has is a resume where last year he was tied for the NFL lead in interceptions. Khalif Raymond had over 600 receiving yards last season and a punt return for a touchdown. And Jameson Williams, do I need to say it again? Y'all acting like he's done something. No. Man, he ain't done nothing, man.
We don't want something.
But
we ain't won nothing.
Okay, I would like to compare it. All right,
Okay.
because you're right. He hasn't technically done anything, although the flashes you've seen, I've enjoyed at least. But to kind of compare it, Sam, it'd be like, for example, all right, let's say you're like you are an up-and-coming personality.
Yeah.
You're doing the show now. Let's say you have a bad segment, okay? And you had a great rest of the show, or maybe a bad segment, and then you yelled at JB, but the rest of the show was great. It would be like me reporting Sam Flannel had a terrible segment, yelled at JB. He's struggling early on in his career at Woodward. But then you'd say, well, what about the other hour and a half I crushed on the show? That's the point. Like, that's where it frustrates me. If you want to say Sam Flannel had a bad segment, yelled at JB, but finished the show great, had a great show, I'm cool with that. When you miss context, that's what pisses me off. People don't add in there what the good things J-Mo did in practice. It's this like, hey, bring up all the bad shit narrative just to whatever the narrative they want to make it. That's what frustrates me. Is that fair? Not that they're criticizing him at all, but you're leaving the good part of everything out. It's unfair to Jameson Williams.
That is 100% fair that maybe they just cherry-picked a couple of bad moments in practice.
That's where my problem
But
is.
that's what people like Matt Broder are here for, to actually say, no, he actually did such and such well. And when we're going to look at some of his notes later, and he actually was very, very complimentary of Jameson Williams, and I'm 100% happy to hear that. My thing is, why is Jameson Williams getting such a benefit of the doubt? That's the thing that I'm frustrated with. He should be at this stage in his career where people are demanding that he produce, at the point where it should be produce or else. Oh, by the way, let me just say this. How about he makes up for it in week 1 this season while on the field? Oh, that's right, he can't, because he got suspended 6 games at this point. And I know that this is a lot of people aren't going to like this. It is going to be in the first 23 games of his career. Obviously, he was injured for a big portion of his first season. He will have produced 1 catch. That's just facts. And the 1 catch he had was in week 14, obviously that amazing touchdown catch in which we were all very, very excited. And then the next 4 weeks, he proceeded to catch goose egg, the exact same amount of catches this season as Penei Sewell. I think he's going to be great, but he has to show us. You guys are acting like
just go from that to I think he's going to be great.
Yeah.
Okay, but wait a minute. But you guys already act like he is. That's the thing.
Because here's the thing, and I think when we say that, it's because we know the talent that he has, and we know that he was hurt for like the first 13 weeks of the season.
Right.
So those first, like, you take the 26 games thing and it's like, okay, I see what you're saying, but let's really be honest. This man was kind of having a red shirt. Like, if Hendon Hooker came in this year, last 3 weeks of the season for emergency situation and went out there and stunk it up.
Sam would break that down.
Yeah, like, you can't, like, really fault them. Like, you can, but objectively, I think if you take the sample size that he had, you remember that touchdown in Green Bay that got called back.
Yeah.
So there's 2 plays right there. And I'm not saying that, this guy's, that's what you're saying to see that he's a proven product, but you watch what he did at Alabama. You watch what Ben Johnson does with people that are less talented than him. And it's just one of those things where I did get upset with him for the gambling situation. But outside of that, he's really done nothing to upset me. And I'm not just going to hold it, like, I'm 21. I've done stupid shit in my life too, you know what I mean? So it's not like I'm just going to judge his whole career off of something that happened in the offseason of his second season. When he can go out there and the minute J-Mo scores a touchdown, it's going to be poof, like nothing ever happened. And that day is going to come for a fact. So that's why I'm just like, I'm not stressing it.
Yeah, like
we'll be fine. We're in good hands. All-State.
The guy didn't rob a bank. Like he bet on a college basketball game, whatever it was, and at a team hotel. Like, he didn't do anything wrong. Like, he did it. He broke an NFL rule. Yeah, you can't bet on certain premises, but like in reality, he did something that millions and millions of people do. So the character stuff, I don't really understand. He seems like a great kid. He wants to win. And the other part of it is too that people don't want to bring up is C.J. Gardner-Johnson in his press conference called Jameson already one of the best wide receivers, at least with his eyeballs. Like the talent that J-Mo possesses. You think anybody brings that up nationally? I'm not talking about local media. Local media does a great job covering Jameson Williams. I'm talking about these big networks. Anybody bring that up? They brought up, you got to fight with his teammate.
I didn't hear a peep.
Jeff, here's the thing, though. Wouldn't it be nice if the Detroit Lions had a player like Jameson Williams available at Kansas City or home versus Seattle or at Lambeau Field? I'm just saying, I don't like this attitude that I see a lot of people at this network sort of peddle, especially someone like Neil Rule. Like just acting so flippant about a 6-game suspension, basically just saying the rule's stupid, so therefore we shouldn't criticize Jameson Williams for anything. The rule is stupid, but the reality is we're not seeing 6-game gambling suspensions just like shelled out throughout the league. I mean, you're seeing some, but if it were that sort of blurred and gray lines as a rule, then you would see gambling suspensions everywhere. Why did Jameson Williams get one? Those are fair questions. And you know what? I know when Jameson Williams actually does play well, a lot of people are going to be like, see, you hated on him and now you don't care. Yeah. Actually, it's okay to wait till he actually does something. He's not a star yet. He has 1 catch. He has 1 touchdown, and that's just reality. And now, 6 of his games to make up for the season in which was more of a red shirt, which I was okay with at the time, are now not available to him. And I'll tell you what, he better be a star when he comes out, because I don't want to see him make a couple of big plays and for people to say, like, oh, you see, I told you, like maybe make a few explosive plays. He needs to be a star, especially given what C.J. Gardner-Johnson said, that he's already one of the best receivers in the NFL.
Yeah, and I guess, yes, he got suspended, but my point is, would you rather him, and it's very different because now that you know a suspension comes with it, of course you take what Jordan Addison did, but would you rather have your young wide receiver going 140 and a 55 or place a bet on a college basketball game? I'll take the basketball game. Now, he got suspended, but if he wasn't at a team hotel, it would have been perfectly legal. So, like, I don't know, endangering your life and other lives, betting. Like, I'll take betting, but he broke the rule. That's the only bad thing. He was at a team hotel. He just comes flannel.
You could frame it another way. Suspension, no suspension.
I'm talking about the optics of what he did. People question his character. It's like, dude, he didn't murder anybody. He didn't Ray Lewis anybody. Like, he's fine.
Well,
JB, Gabby, I want your guys' thoughts on this. The whole J-Mo narrative, what do you think? Is it a reach or is it fair?
I don't think it's a reach. I think for whoever this person is that I don't even know who he is, but I just feel like he's judging J-Mo either off this one moment that happened during practice and not the practice all in general. And who knows, J-Mo might be on his shit list as of right now, building up with what happened in this first season, not being very effective, to getting suspended, to now all this. I don't know. I think he's just put J-Mo on his shit list to where it's not gonna fly anymore, and he's just coming down on him very hard. Pause for that, but still.
At least you had it ready, JB.
Yeah, I had that one ready, but yeah, he's just harping on every single thing that J-Mo does. He's gonna report back and just say, yeah, this guy's a bust. He's not gonna amount to anything in the NFL. I don't know why the Lions drafted him. It's just more and more stuff that's just gonna rain down on this guy, and you know what? He just doesn't like J-Mo as it is, and I think we just need to chill and calm down. This is one moment in practice where he dropped 2 passes and just got a little frustrated. I mean, come on. All receivers are going to get frustrated during camp. especially with DBs going back and forth. Like, you want to be top dog out there, and you're going to compete and going to try to push your teammate, your best buddy out there to be great once the season gets here. So I don't know what everyone's getting so upset about.
Well said, JB. What do you think, Gabby?
I just want to let him play football and like judge him for his football playing abilities at this point. Obviously, there's going to be a period of time where we're not going to be able to do that because of this instance. And yes, that is unfortunate, but I really want everyone to step away from judging him and his character and judge him on what he is here to do. If the other things come in, obviously in the position that he's in and the field that he's in, you're going to have that kind of attention put on you. But let's just like put the football first. Let's put his job first and judge him for that and criticize him for that and give him his, his flowers because of that. And then if the other stuff gets factored in there, sure. But I think people are really picking on a lot of his personal things because they're pissed about the fact that he's not going to be playing in those first 6 games. But again, he's a young guy. People make mistakes. Step back from the personal stuff and just focus on the football.
Yeah, it's like at the end of the day, if you're going to get frustrated about J-Mo, simply living life or doing something small or having a bad practice and that ruins your entire week, I suggest you go check out Randy Wise because maybe that can make you feel a little better. Gabby, can you tell everybody about Randy Wise?
Happy to. Randy Wise is where you can go and make the wise choice for your next vehicle. I had the chance yesterday to golf alongside one of Randy's finest car salesman, and that is Tim Steiner. He was fantastic. He is a part of the Randy Wise Celebrity Golf Tour, and had the chance to kind of hear him talk about some of the cars that they have coming in, some of the deals that they're making happen for their customers, and they are really customer focused. And I truly believe that they are one of the best places, if not the best place to go to get into your next vehicle. So head down to Randy Wise today.
By now you know me, Christina Gennari, as the obvious choice in real estate. And you know my website, soldchristina.com, as your #1 resource for buying or selling your home. Myself, along with my amazing staff, pride ourselves on making your home buying and selling experience a relaxing and easy one. Come see why we are the obvious choice. Christina Gennari at soldchristina.com, the obvious choice in real estate.
You have an opinion? Make sure it's seen and heard. Corner, jumper, tweet us, hop on the YouTube chat, slide in the DMS at Woodward Sports on all social media.
Welcome everybody back to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Thank you for sticking with us. We just got done talking about Jamison Williams, the unfair or fair criticism, whatever you may think it is. Other news, at least for the Lions too. Shane Zylstra out with a knee injury. So
said like 8 months, I think it read.
Yeah, it's a bad one. So again, that's very unfortunate for a guy who last year showed a lot. Shane Zylstra, even for a dude that had 3 touchdowns in a game to be where he was, to making a name for himself, is going to be more involved this year behind Laporta. But now it seems like, hey, it's Laporta season. If this didn't confirm it, this definitely confirms it now.
I agree with you, Jeff.
Okay.
Simply put.
Doesn't mean he'll be a Hall of Famer. Lucas,
well, it gives him a higher ceiling his rookie season.
Oh, okay, but Shane Zylstra wasn't going to take snaps away from Sam Laporta.
He could have, though, 100%.
Zylstra's that guy you could use like in the red zone. He's like, especially last year against Carolina, he had 3 TDs in that game. But still, it's unfortunate. But I'm sure that James Mitchell and Sam Laporta can hold down that tight end room.
Don't forget about Brock Wright now.
And Brock Wright, excuse me. Like those 3 guys, they'll be fine. You're essentially replacing Zane Zylstra with Sam Laporta. Like that, yeah, that's an upgrade.
Yeah,
like they'll be all right. Jesse Adams says James Mitchell season, more like it. At Jeff. Blade says LOL, easy cut at tight end. Brock Laporta and Mitchell was ahead of him anyways. Yeah, and again, it doesn't mean he couldn't be a training camp body or a practice squad body, but hey, unfortunate for Zane Zylstra. More news. Penei Sewell still in concussion protocol. That's probably another storyline because this offensive line, we haven't ever mentioned this. They have yet to play all together. Like, think about that. When Dan first got here, they drafted Penei. Frank was out the entire season. He comes back. Vitai's out. So hopefully this season. You'll get to see those guys all playing together healthy. But yeah, I'm not worried. Mike O'Hara went on Ermanni and Edwards yesterday. I believe it was yesterday, the day prior, or Friday, excuse me, talking about Panay and said he ain't worried. So he'll be back. Not a big deal. Just wanted to give you guys that update. But other news, Jared Goff. And this was per Sharp Football. And me and, this show and Warren Sharp, we have our battles.
It's an up and down turn.
But this list was interesting. Most efficient quarterbacks throwing outside the numbers. Look at this list. Number 1, Patrick Mahomes. Wow. Number 2, Jared freaking Goff. This is AFC and NFC, ladies and gentlemen. This is all quarterbacks. Most efficient quarterbacks throwing outside the numbers, basically meaning towards the sidelines. And again, hey, for a guy like Mahomes, who is as great as he is, and Sam, you'd say he's the most talented quarterback ever. He's the best. Tom Brady's the greatest. It's kind of interesting when you see Jared Goff fall number 2 behind that list for quarterbacks throwing outside the numbers.
Yeah, there's a couple takeaways that I have from this list. But first, I am going to choose to accentuate the positive. So any list with Patrick Mahomes at number 1, you think obviously when it comes to quarterbacks, you think obviously that is a good, incredible list. And then you look at Jared Goff at number 2 on this list of throwing outside the numbers. When I saw this, I actually looked back at some of his highlights from this year, and I can point to quite a few plays where he made some great throws down the field. To DJ Chark. He made a couple to DJ Chark. He made one touchdown against the Minnesota Vikings, one, I think, 40-ish yarder outside the numbers that set up a touchdown against Jacksonville, and even one early on against Philadelphia, about a 22-yarder. He also had one to TJ Hawkinson against the Seahawks. Probably the best throw of his life, rolling to his left, planning, and then throwing outside the right number to Khalif Raymond, and even had a touchdown pass outside the numbers against Washington to Amon-Ra St. Brown to make it 36-21. So when you look at that, he had some pretty damn good throws outside the numbers. And when you look at Jared Goff, he was tied for 5th in passing touchdowns, 5th in QBR, 7th in passer rating, and 6th in passing yards. He had an amazing year. And the fact that on this list he was number 2 in terms of throwing outside the numbers efficiently, it makes a lot of sense, I will say. Maybe it doesn't equate to him being second, but at the same time, I like what I see at the top end of the list. I will just say that.
I do have a bone to pick, though, with this list.
Yes.
A couple suspect names on this list as well. You know what I do want to say, just before I get into the suspect names? The top 10 of this list, a lot of mobile quarterbacks, like guys that can move, like Trevor Lawrence, Josh Allen, Russell Wilson, Daniel Jones, Dak Prescott, Mahomes, guys that can move, and especially if you're throwing towards the sideline, those guys can make plays essentially out of nothing. Now, Russell Wilson being on this list after last year, I don't know if this is just last year. I don't know how the hell that measures. I don't know how the hell Daniel Jones is on there. And Dak Prescott's on there. So 3 guys that, a little suspect last season.
Andy Dalton,
which...
All this is
what the hell?
And I don't think, and it's no disrespect, but if you look at all these names outside of Mahomes, they all have great offensive coordinators, and just because they're the most efficient does not mean that they're throwing it the most. You know what I mean? Like Daniel Jones probably was throwing it outside the numbers the least out of any quarterback last year, and when he did, it probably hit at a decently efficient rate because they didn't do it that much. Same thing with Andy Dalton. But you go Jared Goff, Ben Johnson, Dak Prescott, Kellen Moore, Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, he had Kyle Shanahan, so there's not much there, but Jimmy Garoppolo's mid. Daniel Jones has Dable. Russell Wilson, kind of like a one-off there because he didn't have coaching, but he did have like Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy on the outside, so that's talent. Kirk Cousins has Justin Jefferson. He has Kevin O'Connell, Josh Allen. They got McDermott doing it up there, and he's got Stephon Diggs. Andy Dalton, I don't know how the hell he got on there. And Trevor Lawrence, he's got Doug Peterson.
How the hell is Joe Burrow 18?
Just because, I mean...
Like, that's why this list is a little suspect.
Because that's when we talk... What we just said is, like, just because you're the most efficient doesn't mean you're throwing it the most on the field. Like, a lot of times Joe Burrow's throwing it, giving his players a chance, and they're just not coming down with it. Again, that doesn't mean Burrow's making a good decision, but it's just not as efficient compared to, like, Daniel Jones threw it 15 times down outside the numbers. Joe Burrow probably threw it, like, 50.
Well,
so it's going to be up more on a scale.
Soft Jones says, D. Jones was probably 3 or 4 outside the numbers.
You know what I mean?
That's
like
equating to... most efficient. Anyway, what were we going to say?
Yeah,
Sam?
that's the thing. When you look at the top 2, that was me accentuating the positive, and now I got to look at the negative 3 through 7. You've got Dak Prescott, Jimmy Garoppolo, Daniel Jones, Russell Wilson, and Kirk Cousins. What this tells me is that at least at some level, throwing outside the numbers efficiently doesn't necessarily equate to effective quarterback play. I mean, Dak Prescott had objectively the worst season of his life last year, led the NFL in interceptions despite missing 5 games. Jimmy Garoppolo, he's not the king of pain like the police say. He is the king of mid. Daniel Jones had 15 touchdown passes. Russell Wilson had the worst season of his life by far, and the Broncos were 5-12. And Kirk Cousins, despite the Vikings winning on a team level, he had the most interceptions of his career.
That's the king of mid right there.
His worst completion percentage since 2017, his worst passer rating as a starter, and his worst QBR as a starter. Obviously, you get to Josh Allen. That's one who you'd think would be top 10 on any quarterback list. And then you get to Andy Dalton. So the moral of the story is I'm happy to see Patrick Mahomes at number 1. I'm happy to see Jared Goff at number 2. And I just gave you a list of some of the great throws that he made this season outside the numbers. But does this really equate to effective quarterback play, especially, and I have my bones to pick about Joe Burrow and his playoff overration, I would say, but him at number 18 is absolutely absurd because he is the second best quarterback in the league. I guess what I'm saying is that this list largely is irrelevant and doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest takeaway is some of these stats too. You could find statistics to benefit any argument.
Yeah.
It just depends how it's framed. Like
PFF makes millions off of it.
Yeah, PFF's a good one, to be honest with you. Like, well, hold on. Except when Amon-Ra St. Brown is number 1 in man coverage.
I'm not a PFF fan whatsoever.
I'm kidding. Unless it fits my narrative, I don't like it.
It can fit any narrative, though. You can find a stat for anything. That's why it's just, I can't. The thing with stats are you don't need to give me a number to tell me that my eyes are wrong. And that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And It's just like you could put that like Andy Dalton 9 on any list. I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, unless it supports my argument, like Amon-Ra St. Brown, number 1 in man coverage, great, I'll use that. Any other thing, I'm cool. I'll just take the ones that, again, I can use. But anyway, I want to bring up this list because I think Jared Goff being mentioned in any statistical list among other great quarterbacks is worth mentioning. Throwing outside the numbers, it really shows, again, Jared Goff and his progression throughout his career being a much more efficient quarterback. Like, that's been the development of Jared. Again, and people talk about he made the top 100 list, as people may know. And we're going to get to that later in the show because Kirk Cousins is in the 40s. So I don't, you know what? It is what it is. We'll get to that at 9:30, but still, to stay on this, I think it shows for Jared Goff, regardless of how much the stat actually means, the fact that Jared is playing some of his best football of his career, this just kind of confirms it, right?
Yes.
He's much more efficient. Decision-making is much better. And I'm excited for him this season. I really am.
Yeah, I would say he's playing the best football of his career. When I give you all the numbers, when I give you the fact that the offense was top 5 in scoring, and the fact that he did hit some damn good throws outside the numbers, it all makes sense. But when I was doing some digging on some of Jared Goff's best throws and his highlights from 2022, I hate to say this, but it actually kind of confirmed or even made me realize how valuable DJ Chark was, because I list 6 throws that were just great from Jared Goff outside the numbers, and DJ Chark has 3 of them. I'm not saying that he's some world beater or anything.
I think J-Mo's going to take those.
We will see. Well, he can't take them until the 7th game of the season. But anywho, that's neither here nor there. Hey, are those facts or is that an opinion?
It's
that is
facts,
factual.
But
you're
number 1 J-Mo hater right now.
I am not a hater.
No.
Get on the field, J-Mo.
You are a J-Mo hater.
Get on the field, J-Mo. That's all I'm saying. Denzel Mims might take some.
Well, I'll say this.
He just throws it out there. Denzel Mims.
When J-Mo...
This is why.
Hey, JB, speaking of, J-Mo and the Chiefs week 1, and, when J-Mo sees the Chiefs come out, they won the Super Bowl, they'll have the whole parade, and, as Sam Flannel always says, they're going to be playing a certain type of song from Space Jam, as the Chiefs roll out. When Jameson hears this song, he'll be fired up. There you go.
He'll be fired up to stand on the sidelines.
Hit him high.
J-Mo's going to hear that song and come back week 7 and tear up the league.
As I said, though, he's going to be fired up to stand on the sidelines because that's all he is going to be available to do on week 1. The fact that people are just glossing over it like it's nothing is absurd.
We're not glossing over that it's nothing, but we're moving on from it. There's nothing that's positive from just holding J-Mo to it. There's nothing positive from it. So realize that it happened and control what you can control. That's what he's doing now. And just move on. Week 6 will be here. There's 17 weeks of the season. We're going to be in the playoffs this year. So we're going to have plenty of J-Mo.
Well,
we're at J-Mo in the playoffs. Does that sound good to you? Sounds
Yeah.
great
That
to
sounds
me.
great,
He'll be there.
but I'll tell you what,
He'll
Lucas.
be there.
I'll tell you
making
what,
plays.
I'll tell you what, Lucas, and I'm not rooting for this. For the record, what if the Lions lose a game in which they could have really used an ex-speedy receiver? Maybe they're in a shootout and they just can't compete with, like, say, the Kansas
put
City
it all
Chiefs.
just on J-Mo.
You can't.
But
It's
you
a
can a little
53-man
bit.
roster. You can look at the other 52 guys on the roster too. They were winning and losing games without him last year as well. They weren't looking at J-Mo like, why you hurt?
Hey.
They were just going out there and they were playing
that's
ball.
hard. Yeah, it's hard.
Sam Laporta.
It's easier to do that with like the NBA. Like the Pistons lose games. Like, man, if they had Cade, things would be different. Like with this, I don't know if you'd blame J-Mo. Especially when they're able to get somewhat production. I mean, Hims, as Lucas calls them, those guys are going to have to show up as well. I think blame plenty to go around if they don't have success offensively. But no doubt they'll miss J-Mo through the first 6 games. I think. We'll see when he comes back. I think he'll take this offense up a whole nother level. But the show's also going up a whole nother level because we're taking calls next segment. So please, if you guys have been to training camp or is there anything you'd like to see from training camp, please call the number. I put it in the chat, 313-552-6322. Call in. We'll talk to you. Again, if you've been to training camp and there's anything you want to share that you saw or anything you want to, if you want to pick a bone with me or Sam or Lucas, whoever, call into the show and we'll get to some of those next segment. But before we do that, Sam, could you tell everybody where they could go get a workout at?
Oh,
yeah, it's that
absolutely. It is that time where I got
I'm seeing flannel.
You know, I actually did a workout yesterday, did some biceps, and it was all well and good. And I see Matt Broder walking in, by the way. He's flexing with me, too. And you guys can all flex, too, if you go to Planet Fitness and get dope like me. Planet Fitness is home of the judgment-free zone where anyone, and we mean anyone, can feel comfortable and work on their fitness goals. We are here to help you build a lasting, active lifestyle. At Planet Fitness, you'll experience a squeaky clean gym that has tons of equipment, a full body workout in just 30 minutes in the 30-minute circuit, and all memberships include fitness training. You get all of this for only $10 a month. Yes, we are still only $10 a month. Yes, Matt Broder, your fitness is essential, and fitness is a key part of physical and mental wellness, which is why we have invited teens between the ages of 14 and 19 to work out free all summer long with our high school summer pass program. For more information or to join today, visit your local Planet Fitness or planetfitness.com. No matter where you are, there's a Planet Fitness close by, and there are more than 50 in Metro Detroit and thousands more throughout the world. It's Planet Fitness, where your fitness is essential.
Gabby is a college student struggling to study for her big exam. Then she discovered Syntron, a healthy way for her to stay awake and focus. Jennifer frequently has chaotic days like this until she gets online, orders some Syntron, and finds her groove. April visited her local grocery store, purchased a case of Syntron, and entered to win the Syntron 100K Vegas giveaway. Pick up your case of Syntron today at any Meijer location or visit drinksyntron.com/Vegas and enter for the 100K Vegas giveaway.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
Sports network in Detroit that starts with a W. You know, because we win. Woodward Sports, Detroit's winning sports network.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Thank you guys for tuning in and enjoying the show. We appreciate every single one of you. Don't forget, if you're on YouTube, hit the like button. We'll get to 100 likes before the end of this segment, please. Let's get to 100 likes for Matt Broder. He's coming in. He's going to discuss some Detroit Lions with us, tell us what he saw. But before that, I want to talk a little bit about the MLB trade deadline, and we do have a caller, so we'll get to that in between calls. But first, let's take the first caller we have. Who do we got, JB?
All right, I'm going to send you guys Doc.
Welcome to the show, Doc. What do you want to talk about?
Fellas, what's happening?
What's
up? John. I love covering training camp. It's the best time of the year. Only complaints I have is I don't get to catch your guys' morning show, which I love every morning. So I got to weigh in regarding all the fuss about people covering Jameson Williams and put everybody straight, because this is crazy for those that are like, I can't believe people are covering and talking about Jameson Williams. Guys, the first-round pick of the Detroit Lions a year ago, who the team traded up for, who got a $19 million signing bonus, the actions that he takes on the field are going to be covered. And the reason why there's an uproar, now look, let's first set the caveat. Let's eliminate the extreme comments of saying that Jameson's a boss or that he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Let's talk reasonably here about why people are talking about Jameson Williams and getting a little bit upset when he doesn't perform at practice. And here's why. Those that want Jameson Williams to have this Hall of Fame career are also watching Amon-Ra St. Brown, who dropped a couple passes and looked like his world had ended after practice. He looked like he had been devastated, like his whole day had been ruined because he dropped a couple footballs in practice. That's the mindset you got to have to be great, to be excellent, where you do a show and you're happy with it, but then your mindset says, oh man, I flubbed the line, I should do better next time. And for Jameson Williams, yes, he's young, and yes, the potential's there, but I think that those that are looking at a player that has so much potential dropping footballs against air, guys, air means nobody around. Your job is to catch the football. Your job is to be able to, each and every practice, shine. So for us that are comparing Jameson Williams to a player like Amon-Ra St. Brown, who is just exceeding, who doesn't necessarily have as much talent as Jameson, just want the hard work and talent to match up. So Jameson's going to get there. I believe it. There is a lot of potential for this player to do a lot of big things. But for those of us that say, hey, I don't like to see Jameson Williams drop the football, I don't like to see him looking lost out on the football field after a year of preparing, and he's not a rookie. He spent all last year watching, observing, being in the meeting room, and Broder's sitting there. I know he saw, because I love chatting with him, talking junk with him. He saw a rookie this year, rookie wideout, line up in the wrong spot. The coaching staff doesn't go, hey, young rookie, can you kind of go to the right spot that you need to go? The coaching staff goes, get your effing ass in the right spot. And that's the attitude that I think fans should take, which is, hey, Jameson Williams, you don't catch the football, catch the effing football and have some A-plus practices back to back to back. So let's not be soft here. Jameson Williams is fine. He's not a soft football player. He understands that when he has a, let's just say, B-, C+ practice, when he goes into that meeting room, Antoine Randall is not going to be kicking his ass. So let's go. Jameson Williams is going to progress, but let's just take it a little bit down a notch with all the people who can't handle a little bit of discussion regarding Jameson Williams.
And number one, Doc, I appreciate you calling in, man. We love you. And Doc does great work, by the way. Go check out his stuff, Sports Illustrated, all Lions. He covers them. I want to bring this up too, Doc, because everything you said is true. And it's fair. I think criticism of Jameson Williams, I'm not going to sit here and freak out over it. The only thing I don't like, John, is when the narrative kind of gets twisted a little bit. I don't mind you criticizing J-Mo, but I do think that J-Mo, his mindset, I guess, is in the correct spot. I mean, when you have a fight with Starling Thomas and you come out and you talk to the media and you say, hey, like, it's just training camp. I would never do this in a game. We're competing. He's making me bring my best every single play. He mentioned Amon-Ra St. Brown as well and his work ethic and how, it does influence him as well. And again, Jameson Williams may never be have that type of mentality like an Amon-Ra St. Brown. Quite frankly, not a lot of wide receivers in the NFL do. Like, he's built different. But I think it does speak to the comparison there you bring up where Jameson's a first-round pick. He's always been talented. He's always been gifted. Not saying he hasn't had to work hard, but for someone like Amon-Ra, who maybe didn't have as much gifts early on, had to work for everything, I do think that's a great influence on Jameson Williams. And moving forward, I'm excited. And I have no problem with the coaching staff tearing his ass up. I think that's fair, like you said, for a guy that you expect to do big things when he gets back from suspension. But the only problem I have, Doc, is when people leave out context. That's I guess, my issue. Not the criticism, but when you see guys locally like yourself or Matt Broder, whoever, when they talk about, he got into a fight with Starling Thomas, they also mention, hey, he cooked C.J. Gardner-Johnson in the red zone. Like, I think that stuff matters too, Doc.
Yeah, absolutely. But remember, fan means fanatic. So obviously context is taken out. But those that are watching practice, the 3,000 people that were there, those that tweet about it, said there were some good plays that Jameson made, and there were some plays that left a lot to be desired. So I look at it and I say, I don't go and say, hey, when Jameson Williams has a toe tap in an individual drill against really not the full defensive package, that's fine. I don't go, oh my God, he's the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Right.
But I look at it and I say, the reason why Jameson Williams is under the microscope is because everybody sees greatness. They see a guy that can be the top of the league. but he's not showcasing it day in, day out. So C.J. Gardner-Johnson has an amazing practice on Monday. He's lighting up he's lighting up Jahmyr Gibbs, walks off the field, and we're all looking at him because we don't really know what he's going to say. Is he going to be nice to Broder? Is he going to punch him out? We don't know just yet, but he walks off the field, and he's like, practice how you play. He walks off sternly and realize, yes, when you practice well, when you play at a high level, Dan Campbell says this each and every time he talks about practice, there is value in practice. Only the true greats can have subpar practices and then just go out there and have 4 touchdowns in a game.
Right.
In order for Jameson to start to showcase the potential that he has to be a Hall of Famer, he's got to start doing it consistently in practice. And C.J. Gardner-Johnson showcased it, and I expect he's going to have a great year. Now, for Jameson, you got to remember he's going to now be 3 weeks away from the team to start the year. He can return for 3 weeks before practice, but I don't expect him to have bad practices. And a team that has a bad week of practice typically plays bad during the week. So we just want to see him have more consistency. And let's hope Wednesday he comes out and has a lot of touchdowns and takes a bad practice and moves forward. But look, Jameson Williams, we'll cover him on Wednesday, and hopefully he has some more highlight reel catches, especially when the fans show up. You don't want to see Jameson Williams dropping the football. There were a lot of groans when he was making some mistakes.
You know, Doc, I think you are preaching to the choir right here. And my thing has always been, and it sounds like you share the same sentiment, that if you just say one little thing critical about him for his poor plays that he did make, oh, you want him out of the league, he's a bust. And no, that is not the case. Those people actually don't exist. It's the people that go too far and act like he's already some superstar that cannot be questioned in anything that he does. And that's what bothers me. I, like you, think that he is going to be great, that he has all the talent in the world. And I saw what he did at Alabama, where he was one of the most impressive college wide receivers I've ever seen. But at the same time, people are attributing things to him that he hasn't yet done. He has the same amount of NFL receptions as Penei Sewell. I know that Jameson Williams' was a little bit more impactful, but those are just facts. And he did play 4 games after that in which he did not make 1 catch. So everything is true, and you're allowed to react in real time. That's kind of my take on it, and I appreciate yours too, man.
Very fair, Doc. Very fair.
Yeah, absolutely. You react in real time. Listen, if you want to be a boring sports fan and just say everything's great and rosy every single day, that's fine. But there's some people here who get fired up about wanting the Detroit Lions to take a step forward, and anything that potentially could get in the way of greatness, I get pissed off at. And I don't sit there and go, oh my gosh, Mr. Williams is the greatest thing since sliced bread. I look at it like, hey, if you get 2 touchdowns in a game, why didn't you get 3? And that's the pathway to greatness, is to expect more. You get a 100-yard game, how come you didn't get 120? You know, that's in my opinion, the best way to be great is to, yes, acknowledge the things you do well, like a great phone call like this, but wonder, hey, could I have done better? Could I have lit up the phone lines earlier? Should I call more? That's the attitude I believe you got to have. And, hey, I understand those that really want to, be a fanboy and glom onto everything that he does. But, look, I think that Jameson Williams, in totality, is going to be fine. And hopefully throughout the course of his second year, he showcases why the investment's made. I like it. I see the potential. And you look at it and you say, you only harp on those you care about greatly. So for all the attention that Jameson Williams gets, it's because he's one of the biggest stars on the team. And I hope that he takes it seriously and showcases the potential. Because if he doesn't, he's going to be, the Lions fan base remembers certain wide receivers that haven't, succeeded at the highest level, and people don't want to be reminded of that. So now he's got to remind people that, hey, I'm great, I can do some great things, and let's get after it. He's got a lot of practices before, the final verdict is in.
No question. Great stuff, Doc, man. We got to have you on the show soon. I appreciate you calling, man. Always supporting the show. We love you. By the way, check out Doc Stuff, si.com/NFL/Lions. Does great work there. We appreciate you, Doc.
Yeah, call me up, man. Stop saying it. Call me up anytime. I'm ready to come.
Let's do it. And there you have it. Doc over there. You know what, Sam Flannel? You must feel great. Doc, because that was fair. I think, when you say things like he has as many receptions as Penei Sewell, which is fact, but comparing it, but John was kind of in the middle, I feel like. Like, he kind of agreed with what me and Lucas said, but he also was like, hey, criticism's fair. So very fair take by Doc, I got to say.
Yeah, and that's all I'm saying. And let me just read this comment from Chuck Brewer, which kind of came across, and I was really not too happy with this. He says, bring the same...
I'm not happy.
This is Chuck Brewer. Bring the same heat for every other player, not just J-Mo. That's the problem with the haters. How many other players have 6-game gambling suspensions and get treated like Teflon for having one NFL catch? None. 0. Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-day. 0.0. That is the type of stuff that just drives me crazy, man. Why are you not allowed to say anything about Jameson Williams?
Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-day.
Bro.
Flannel.
Wow.
Flannel, you are 101, man.
Thank you, Lucas.
That, simply put, 101.
Oh, John chiming in. He says, who do you want heat about? We can talk about anyone. Even John has your back. I mean, and by the way, I get both sides because to Chuck's point, you know, everybody who deserves to be criticized is being criticized, but at the same time, Jameson is the first-round pick. He is the guy that missed most of his first season. He is the guy that's suspended. So, of course, there's going to be a spotlight on J-Mo. Like, I'm not naive to that. You know, that's just the facts. By the way, that was great by Sam. I mean, the man just did a...
Look, you guys can hate on Flannel all you want, but you're not going to get that anywhere else. He's 101. Appreciate him.
Yeah, he's a special guy right there. We have one more caller, but we got to go to break. So, screw it, bring him in. Let's see. We'll make this one a quickie. Who is it?
All right, I'll send you guys Drew.
Drew, welcome to the show, my man. We only got a little bit of time, but I had to give you the chance. What do you want to talk about?
Hey, no problem. Guys, want to tell you, you guys do an awesome job with the show. Sam, you're doing great.
Thank you.
Taking over for Adam. So, yeah.
Man, thank you, Drew.
Guys.
We appreciate that.
Hey, yeah. So I'll make it quick. I just wanted to say I am super excited about Brian Branch. I feel like every day that I listen to recaps about the training camp, I feel like his name gets brought up. But one question for you. I watched a little Twitter clip, I don't know, a week ago or so, where he was guarding Khalif Raymond on a go route, and he was, I mean, step with him the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you've probably heard about how his speed on the field is just totally different than his 40. I don't understand how that is. Like, how is it that when you get on a football field and they say run 40 yards, you run, slower, but then put on pads and go catch this guy with the football, all of a sudden you just step it up a notch and you're as fast as the fastest guy on the field. How does that work?
Well, it's kind of like Amon-Ra. Like, Amon-Ra ran like a 4.5, 4.6, but then he had that end-around play last year against Washington. He ran like the 6th fastest in the NFL. Yeah. It was like 22, 23 miles per hour. It's a great question, Drew. Lucas, you could speak more of this.
I mean, it's just with Brian Branch, he started as a freshman at Bama, so he's an intelligent player, and it's all about getting to the spots when you're supposed to. If average football play tops, like, unless it's some like 80-yard bomb, is no more than 5 seconds. So you know that I need to get to point A and point B in 5 seconds. And a lot of times it's not 40 yards. And it's just all about knowing angles, certain angles. Like, if this player's faster than me, I have to adjust and run a little bit farther so I can track this guy down. I can't run straight on like I would a tight end. It's all just knowing plays, having experience, and being an intelligent football player. And he does have athletic trait. People act like a 4.5 is slow.
No,
like a 4.5 is still fast. Like,
no,
you don't just find 4.5s on the street, and especially when it comes with an intelligent playmaker like that. It's just money. It's just knowing how football works. It's just having a high football IQ, simply put.
Well, to speak on what Drew's saying, too, it's even more impressive when you're stride for stride, step for step with a guy in Khalif who ran a 4.32.
Mm-hmm.
Like a 4.32,
right.
And that man is step for step.
Especially
Drew,
his hips, too. He has, like, his hips opening up out of breaks. That's what helps him a lot, too, because Khalif's obviously a better straight line runner, but if you can flip your hips, because a DB is going to be off probably like 3-4 yards normally. So if you can flip your hips and open up by the time he's not at full speed, you have that leverage on him, and you just got to stay at his side.
No doubt. And Drew, I'm with you. I think Brian Branch this season, he'll be playing quicker than people think, and I think he'll make a big impact, no doubt about it. Appreciate you calling, Drew.
Absolutely.
You're always welcome back.
Thanks, guys. Take it easy.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
You.
You too. I'll tell you what, we'll go to break. When we get back, we'll have Broder join us. We'll bring up some of that Jameson Williams discussion, some of the things he saw, some highlights or lowlights that he witnessed in training camp. But before we do that, I got to tell you about our friends over at Dispo. And guys, experience the true meaning of exceptional cannabis product with Dispo Dispensary. Indulge in the finest selection of cannabis curated with care with over 12 locations. And they're just opening up one now in Whitmore Lake, so get by there if you're near the location. If not, visit disposhops.com today and unlock a world of endless possibilities in the realm of cannabis. That is DISPOshops.com, your local cannabis plug.
Big Boy Strawberry Fest has officially arrived, and we're here to show you the very best flavors of the season. Satisfy your sweet tooth with our deep-fried vanilla Oreos, strawberry hot fudge cake, and a slice of our classic strawberry pie. But that's not all. Cool off on a refreshing summer splash salad, or savor the flavors of our chicken Caesar wrap and strawberry bacon chicken wrap. And for breakfast lovers, don't miss out on our strawberry hotcakes or our mouth-watering red velvet waffle. Strawberry Fest is something for everyone. Celebrate the sweet season with us at Big Boy.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Your childhood may be over, but certainly playtime is not. Outdoor Equipment Company is your source for outdoor power equipment sales, service, and parts, carrying top brands such as Bad Boy, LS Tractor, Stihl, and much more. Servicing the Great Lakes region with locations in Metro Detroit and Greater Lansing. For more information, visit them at OutdoorEquipco.com. Outdoor Equipment Company, your power equipment playground. Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're not, I don't know what you're doing. That's a problem.
Hop on the bandwagon.
Yeah, hop on as the season starts for the Lions. You're going to want to be subscribed. Plenty of content coming. If you can't watch live, it's all good. You can re-listen to the podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Leave a 5-star review for the podcast. And don't forget, woodwardsports.com for all the latest news, articles, like our good friend Matt Broder writes, and joining us right now. And look at him. Look at this man.
Look at
the
the guy.
stud.
Look at the little guy.
And our good friend of the network and a man who covers the Detroit Lions for Woodward Sports. He's been in the flesh. He's been in the cut. Covering the Detroit Lions. He's been in attendance to training camp. I saw you down there. Me, Lucas Booner, and Mike were down there. We saw you in action on the field. I just wanted Broder to sign my autograph. He didn't come and sign it, so he's big time now. But you know what, Broder?
He did acknowledge us, though.
He did. I love Broder. He did. He looked at us. He waved at us. Ryan Lentz did not. He didn't see us, but it's okay. Matt Broder acknowledged us. But Broder, how you doing? You were there yesterday. What's going on with this Jameson Williams stuff? What did you see with the fights breaking out? Like, how intense was practice yesterday?
Yeah, we're hopping right into it. Thanks so much for having me on. It's funny how this Jameson Williams story, which sort of isn't a story, is starting to blow up. But I love how Doc, who just called in, broke it down. He shared what happened in practice from his own eyes and just reported on that. What was tough for, I think, both you and me and a lot of other, Detroit Lions fans, we're hard seeing someone take shots at, like, he's struggling, like he's getting into fights, he's got to, change everything about what he's doing or else he's not going to have a successful NFL career. That's where I sort of had an issue, because I viewed practice or viewed this practice yesterday, especially for Jameson Williams, in a little different way.
What do you think, Sam?
Yeah, so I would actually like to hear it from you, Broder. What are some positive things about Jameson Williams that you can kind of speak on and maybe sort of convince me that I should back off of him?
Yeah, of course. And to be clear, he didn't have a great practice yesterday. Like, it wasn't like he did anything to really blow. It wasn't consistent throughout the practice, and he didn't do anything to blow anybody away. But what I'm looking for out of Jameson is those sort of maybe not in-game scenarios, but the situations. How is this game developing outside of what you just normally expect, running routes, catching balls?
Right.
What was he doing in the block game? How is he competing in practice? Was he competing in practice? When I hear about, fists were thrown and Jameson Williams getting into scuffles, I say that's a positive thing. That's what we want to see out of not just a young player who's hungry to get on the field, but any player on that team. You want to see them out there competing. You don't want them to hurt their teammates, but you want them to be in practice feeling that emotion. And when things go bad, tempers flare. You guys were talking about it on the show yesterday, and as were the other shows. Like, that stuff happens in training camp. You'd almost be worried about the coaching staff if it wasn't. These players are being put in situations that they're not comfortable with, and that's what the coaches want to see. How do they deal with it? And granted, they don't want to see fights in games, but this is training camp and those things happen.
Now, for other things you saw, because listen, we're a Detroit show. We could talk about all the positives, but what are some negatives besides Jameson? Any player that was a little disappointing, or maybe the offense was disappointing? Just in general, what are some things you noticed?
Yeah, I think you probably would put it on the offense as a whole. Like, it wasn't exactly they weren't exactly flying around there dominating the defense over the last 3 days since they put pads on Friday.
Ooh.
I'd say the defense has definitely won camp, but sort of in the same realm as the Jameson Williams conversation. We don't know what the practice game plan is that these coaches are putting out for the offense. It's not like they want to see them go out and just absolutely dominate the defense. They want to put them in situations where they're uncomfortable, where the defense, it does have the advantage, or how do they respond when those things happen. So I'd say maybe the offense as a whole, but that also could be because the defense has looked really good. That defensive line has looked great, and that secondary is special.
And you bring up the defense. One thing that I think has been a breath of fresh air is how not necessarily how the defense chirps, because that's great, entertaining, and that's what you want your defense to act like, and you want them to be like that. Know they're the shit, but also talk like they are. But the other part of it is it's good for this offense because last training camp they didn't really have the competition. Like, now you got a legitimate defense that you're going to be facing. Now, I guess the next question for at least offensively, and I'll ask it from my boy Lucas. What's going on with Sam Laporta? Because we were there Sunday, and it felt like, and Booner pointed this out too, we were watching the first team from kind of far away. We were more watching the second team and Sudfeld and James Mitchell. But from a distance, Booner pointed out, he's like, did you just see that drive? It went Amon-Ra St. Brown, Laporta, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Laporta, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Laporta. I think people, and we talk about Laporta, and I do think, and Lucas thinks he'll be a Hall of Famer, but I hope so. I think he'll be the best tight end out of this class. What are some things you've seen from Laporta now with pads on? How does he look?
I agree with you. And yesterday he left practice like a quarter of the way through, and I don't think it was an injury. I don't think they've reported on anything yet. The other writers and the other reporters covering weren't 100% certain what happened to Laporta yesterday, if anything. Mm-hmm. But for the rest of camp, he has looked really good. Like, he looks like a wide receiver out there playing tight end, and they're going to use him in those situations. They're going to use him more as a wide receiver, or in more scenarios where he's playing, or he's running wide receiver routes, kind of like we're going to see with Jahmyr Gibbs, running more slot receiver, running more non-traditional running back routes out of the backfield. So I think he's looked really good and developed that relationship both with Goff and Sudfeld, where he's becoming one of those guys that they trust.
Absolutely.
Not just in the pass game, but in the run game too. That's what we really wanted to see when the pads came on Friday. How are the big boys in the trenches, including the tight ends, going to respond to that contact?
No doubt.
Yeah, and Broder, I had one too. So I mean, we talk about Laporta, we talk about Campbell, we talk about Gibbs, and I feel like all these guys don't have a lot of question marks as far as being bust. Like, we all feel like they are guys that have a high ceiling as rookies, but a guy that has a lot of question marks around him is Broderick Martin. And the heavies were saying when they went to training camp, he was putting on a show, putting D-Mon in the ground. So what did you see from Broderick Martin while you've been there?
Everything, and I was watching the heavies show. It was really accurate. I mean,
that's a massive human being.
Pretty spot on. He is a huge. You saw him up close and personal. He is a huge dude, and he seems to be pairing really well next to Lee McNeil. Like, their game is starting to balance each other out really well. They do different things, and their strengths are almost the other players' weaknesses. So, Aaron Glenn talked before in the press conference before practice yesterday, like, to us writers and reporters, like, don't read too much into who's out there getting first team reps versus second team reps. They're putting these guys in different scenarios to see how they go up against, how Broderick Martin goes up against Frank Ragnow, how different 2s and 3s, are going up against first team. So don't read too much into that. But Broderick Martin was out there with the first team a lot and doing really well. I mean, he Aleem, and Aiden Hutchinson were taking residence in the backfield. Mm-hmm. Like, it was as if it was their own, especially Friday and Saturday. A little less yesterday in practice, but he looks really good. He takes up space. And what I was watching, when in the middle, it can get really crowded with all those big boys, whether it's a run play or just a lot happening around where the snap takes place. He's been really good at shedding those blockers, kind of feeding through that traffic and going to find the ball, whether he's the one making the tackle or just getting in the way to stop the running back or to stop sort of that action, whichever direction it's going. So it's been really great to see him out there competing with those ones, regardless of where he ends up at the beginning of the season. But I believe he's going to play minutes early. He's going to contribute early.
Oh, Broder, that is music to my ears because, you know, that defensive line, it's a little bit suspect, and you're lying to yourself if you don't have a few questions. But if Broderick Martin can be that dude, maybe it will all work out. So I have a question about another defensive player. I really liked the notes that you wrote on Cam Sutton, how he didn't really stand out because nobody was really catching any passes on him. He was kind of just shutting down half the field. Do you care to expound on that a little bit more?
Yeah, it's funny because the defense is loud. And he's actually he communicates a lot on the field, but his game isn't that loud. Like he almost takes a back seat behind C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Kirby Joseph and these real big talkers who also play a huge game. But anytime you see them try to target a receiver Cam Sutton's guarding, he's either draped all over the receiver or making a play, deflecting the ball. It feels like he's just going to be that stable one that we've been looking for. He played a lot of zone. He played a lot of different positions in Pittsburgh, but I'm starting to believe that of all the versatility in our defense, they're probably looking at him to be that lockdown number one cornerback, and I love to see it.
Yep.
Hey, Broder, you want to join us for another segment?
I would love to.
There's too many things I got to ask my man. Yeah, there's too much I got to break down. I'll tell you what, we'll go to break. When we get back, we'll continue the conversation with our good friend, Matt Broder. But before I do that, I got to tell everybody about our friends over at SMA because the sports marketing agency helps spread awareness about mental health and substance abuse. Their new podcast, This is the S Word, helps fight the stigma about seeking help. If you or someone you know is struggling, head to thesportsma.com for more information. We'll be right back with more Detroit Lions training camp talk.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
Woodward Avenue, the first paved road in America. Woodward Sports, the first sports network born in Detroit and made for Detroit.
Welcome, everybody, back to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Thank you to everybody for joining the show. We're cruising halfway in through the second hour already. Again, don't forget to hit the like button. Hit the like button for my guy Broder. He's taking the time to join us. He's breaking down training camp for us, so we're just resuming our conversation there. Just got done talking a little bit about Cam Sutton. I wanted to bring up some other guys that people you don't really hear too much being reported on, but you've been the eyes. You've been the eyes on the field. I want to bring this up because I went through your training camp notes, which, by the way, like A+. Like this dude.
My guy.
By the way, for people who don't know, every time Broder goes to training camp, he breaks down and sends us like a 3-page document breaking down every player at training camp, and each player has like a paragraph each.
He cooks.
So yeah, he does cook. Like
he cooks.
Talk about giving me the answers to the test.
You're
Broder.
the chef, but that man right there is the recipe.
Yeah.
Right there.
Well, you have on here, too, mentioning a little bit of just some guys that aren't being reported on. One guy that I do want to bring up, and we'll get to a couple, but the first one, Mims. How does he look? Denzel Mims now kind of getting acclimated into training camp because he's going to be somebody that, we all are excited for. Lucas referred to him as Denzel Hims. What kind of impact do you expect him to make early on for the season? How does he look?
This is a tricky one. Of course, you brought up the hard one. He looks good. He looks like he should be dominating out there.
He fits the part.
He does. He looks almost like a little skinnier DK Metcalf. Like he's just a big, physical specimen.
Yeah.
So you kind of expect him. It looks like he should be out there dominating. He hasn't yet. He was getting into a little rhythm with Goff and some of the individual drills yesterday, with whether it was just running routes with Goff or with a cornerback covering him. But in 11-on-11 drills, they're definitely looking his way. Just the plays aren't connecting. Mm-hmm. There were a couple plays where Starling Thomas was guarding him, and Starling Thomas was holding the receivers all day, so he just couldn't get much separation. It just hasn't all been put together. He doesn't look and I don't mean this as a negative, he doesn't look like he runs a 4.3, 4.38, whatever his 40 time is yet. So I don't know if that's just, the beginning of training camp and he's still getting his footing in the offense, but I want to see him do a little more in this next week.
Yeah, that's the thing about Denzel Mims, is because I was maybe not as high on the signing when it first came about, but I also think that there's a chance, I'm not calling for it, that he could be like the John Kaminsky, Charles Harris, have a bit of a career renaissance. But when you tell me all that, it kind of maybe makes a little more sense why he wasn't as productive with the New York Jets as maybe you'd think he was.
Yeah, you can. It's hard to showcase all your intangibles like a Kaminsky can on the line. Like there are things he can do without getting on the stat sheet that can make a huge impact on the game and the players next to him. It's a little more difficult as a receiver.
You play a ball-dependent position.
Yeah. Like you can be good in the run game. You can run good routes, but like to really affect the game, you got to catch the ball and you got to impact the game that way. So there's that.
What about some of the other rookies? We talked about Sam Laporta. Broderick Martin is how you pronounce his name.
Yes, Broderick.
I've been saying Broderick. I've been getting roasted. So Broderick, my apologies. Jack Campbell and Jahmyr Gibbs. I've been reading yesterday, and I love Jahmyr Gibbs. He's probably the one I'm most excited for. He took some hits.
Yes.
How did he look? The one thing I do question about Jahmyr, and it's not his fault, but quite frankly, I mean, if you're 5'9", 200 pounds, it has to cross your mind at some point, like, can this man hold up physically?
Yeah.
How did he respond? How did he look? Him and Jack Campbell. Start with Jahmyr Gibbs.
I thought he looked great, and he did take some hits yesterday. He took some serious licks. So I was watching how he responded from that after he took those hits. Actually, really early in practice, he got one, or really early in 11 on 11 drills. He got a lick from Broderick Martin, who snuck his way into the backfield and stopped the run. And then the very next play, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Gibbs was catching a ball in the flat and turned and met C.J. Gardner-Johnson head on for, as John wrote about in his article, his welcome to the NFL moment. So I think, and this is not inside information, this is my speculation, I think the coaching staff was using yesterday's practice as like, all right, you need to like feel how the NFL feels.
That's
get your licks in. They didn't use David Montgomery as much in the drills. There were a lot of Bugs wasn't playing a lot. Like I was looking at a lot of the veteran or like almost veteran players weren't getting as much work yesterday. I think they're just conserving their bodies and say, Jahmyr, at some point you're going to need to feel this. We got the Giants coming to town next week. Let's put you in some uncomfortable situations.
What were you going to say, Lucas?
I mean, that's what AG said yesterday when he was talking about Broderick and Branch. He was like, the only way you're going to find out if these guys can play or not is you put their ass in there and you see if they can play or not. So I think that's exactly what they were doing, Broder. And and Heavy's again alluded to it. I know Aaron Glenn went up there and said, Broderick Martin, he's not running with the ones much, but do you think they're just kind of keeping him like a little low-end secret from the national media right now? They're trying to keep him under the covers, Paul?
I think so, and I think also internally in that locker room, they're not coming right out and saying any of the rookies have starting jobs locked up.
Right.
Like, they haven't even said that about Gibbs, and maybe he's the one where they haven't not said it much, but they're not saying Laporta's the number one, Jack Campbell's the number one, Broderick Martin's in there. I think this coaching staff made up of players knows we're not going to crown a rookie, before week 2 of training camp. Like, let's get them out there. Let's welcome them to the NFL. It's actually been really great watching these rookies, and especially some of the undrafted rookies. They're, they got an uphill battle to make the roster, but there's some of those guys that are really showing out.
What about Jack Campbell? Because how has he been looking? I know his responsibilities are only going to increase because that's a guy I'm sure Dan, Brad, everybody else feels that in the future can wear that green dot, can be calling plays defensively. What's his progression been like? How does he look now with pads? Because that's a player I was most excited for to get pads on.
Yeah, and how did he look in pads? I mean, you could tell how much of a beast he is.
Yeah, big boy, huge dude. By the way,
he's as tall as me, so he's 6'5". Picture me with 40 more pounds. Like, he's 6'5", 245, 250.
Gosh.
It's bizarre. He looks good out there. He really hasn't done anything that has blown me away or anything to like truly write about this play or this amazing practice, but you can see him out there just absolutely grinding through the entire practice. He almost looks like one of those guys who's just he's constantly thinking. Like, I think you guys have referenced whatever the movie is where it's It's the different, things, that meme with things popping out of the guy's head. He's just always thinking. His head's always on a swivel. And he's looked fine. He had a couple good plays in coverage yesterday. There was one time where, or actually there were 2 plays where the running back started on a run sort of in between the tackles and bounced it outside. Jack got caught in a little bit and let the running back get it to the outside. So there's some little things that he can improve on, but I think he's going to be just fine.
Absolutely. That is very, very encouraging. So I have a bit of I wouldn't say it's a hot take, but I think that out of all the secondary players that Brian Branch will ultimately have the best career. I think he's the one that's most likely to make like multiple All-Pros, Pro Bowlers, and maybe be a Hall of Famer. I know that's a bit of a reach, but still. What have you seen out of him during your time at training camp?
Hey, Lucas said Sam Laporta was a Hall of Famer.
Hey, Matt Broder, I'll just say this. The amount of Hall of Famers we have on this team,
I know.
I think a Super Bowl is coming very soon.
It has to be,
there
right?
There are a lot of Hall of Famers on this team.
When was our last playoff win?
Yeah, we got to talk about that.
Let's get there first.
Before Laporta was born, probably.
It definitely was.
Branch has that potential, though. like all that being said, Branch could be that guy. He's one, and you guys were just talking before I came on about how he looks on the field versus his 40 time and his, the measurables off the field. And he's one that's he's such a smart, savvy football player. He always seems to be in the right position. Mm-hmm. Like yesterday, in camp, he's looked great in coverage, like better than I expected. I thought of him as more of just a nickel safety, maybe a little slower and the one to cover just the tight ends. But no. He's looked good in coverage. Yesterday, he was blitzing like a madman, and he looked really great doing it. There was one play where he was blitzing at Goff's blind side, and actually it might not have even been a blitz. He just kind of found his way into the backfield and managed to get his hand up and knock the ball down at the line of scrimmage. So I think that what he can bring to so many different areas of this defense, it almost feels like Aaron Glenn and Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell have built a defense, and maybe we'll start with just saying the secondary that's almost positionless, like positionless basketball. Almost all of them can play any of the, we'll call it 5 secondary positions. Yeah. Even Cam Sutton, who we just talked about, is the lockdown cornerback. He can play some nickel. He can play safety if he's asked. Brian Branch can do all of that well. Yeah, no, it's ironic. I like to say that Brian Branch, although they both came from Alabama, he's like the Jameer Gibbs in the secondary. Yeah. He can play like wide out running back. That's Brian, a great take. It's the same thing. I love Brian Branch, man. I'm excited for him. A fun question for you, I guess, and this was, because obviously the marquee players we can talk about all day, but for you, who is somebody, and I'll give you you can answer this both ways. Who's somebody that their stock is rising? It could be a player that no one knows about, a player that you've been watching that you believe could be an undrafted free agent that can make the team, and who's somebody that you believe their stock is flying down? I mean, it's been brought up before, but Starling Thomas, he's an undrafted free agent rookie. He's looked really good. He could be like the Jerry Jacobs, undrafted free agent who's still on the team. And I'm not going to mention him, but Stephen Gilmore has looked really well, too.
That's who I was going to ask.
Stephen Gilmore.
A lot of people don't know that Stephon Gilmore's little brother.
We saw him in the cut on Sunday, too.
And he's good, and he's got the mentality of his brother, too. Like, he's got the Jerry Jacobs mentality. I see him more as probably starting the season on the practice squad, but I see him making the practice squad. So we'll see how these next couple weeks play out. But Starling Thomas, I watched him closely yesterday, and I almost say it was his worst practice. Like, he was holding the receivers almost every play. I was standing next to Jeff Risden, and we were talking about this, and it's like, I mean, it was a bad day from that standpoint. But what I like to see, he's a short guy. He's about 5'10", 194 pounds. Like, he's afraid of nobody. Like, yes, he was holding these receivers, but anytime he was up against them, and especially the bigger receivers, he wasn't backing down, and he was being physical both at the line of scrimmage and through the route progression. So though an intangible like that is something I look for, especially in an undersized cornerback with wheels. We know he's going to stick with any receiver in the league, but how is he going to be able to use his body? And he's actually built like I don't know how to say this without a pause, but like his lower body looks good. Like his calves, like you see him being able to withstand physicality in the NFL, and I'd love to see that again out of a smaller guy. Yeah, no, it's big time. What about a guy that you think their stock is kind of flying down a little bit? Could be not saying they'll be trash, but somebody that hasn't really looked the greatest that you expect to kind of pick it up. You know, I'm gonna say Antoine Green only because he hasn't like taken that next step. It's not like he's really done anything bad, although he was dealing with some medical issues due to the heat on on Saturday and missed a couple practices, but I was really looking forward to seeing him sort of take over some drills in practice, especially getting reps with the second team. I want to see how he looks on those deep routes, which is probably, we look at him and Mims as probably the ones competing for that DJ Chark type role. But it just hasn't clicked yet. He's had a couple good plays. He's looked decent some practice. He just hasn't really, stood out to me.
Well, the Doc mentioned how he was lined up in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
And the coach, he screamed at him. But hey,
he's making rookie mistakes.
Exactly. 7th round pick. There's a reason why he was drafted in the 7th round. Not saying he's going to be trash or he is trash, but there is a learning curve for Antoine Green.
And I know you guys are probably wrapping up this segment soon, but I got to bring up a guy who doesn't get a lot of love very often, but
do it.
Especially as I was watching in bed last night, the Rams versus Chiefs was a 2018 game, Monday Night Football game.
Oh, here it
was
comes.
Supposed to be in Mexico. Josh Reynolds. He's going to see the field way more than we expect this year, and he may even just take the roster spot of Mims and Antoine Green, or one of these. Lower on the depth chart wide receivers. So Dylan Drummond, who actually had a really good practice yesterday. Josh Reynolds, he's always in the right spot. Jared Goff looks for him. He's just kind of Mr. Reliable for
that's
him.
a good way to say it.
I just have loved watching him.
Yeah, he's somebody that I think when people talk about, who's going to hold it down without J-Mo, and I brought this up a couple weeks ago when we had that discussion, Josh Reynolds could be that guy. Not saying he's somebody that you'd want to depend on through the playoffs or something. As a guy, like you said, who's dependable, you can count on, the rapport's already there with Jared. I think Josh Reynolds can be.
It's almost like Marvin Jones 2.0.
Absolutely.
A few year younger version. Just you're not going to hear a lot about him, but he's always going to be there doing the right things, being in the right spot.
Gritville says, thanks for bringing the facts, Broder.
I appreciate it.
That statement.
Yes.
Gritville. I love that. Gritville. Let's go on the week of grit.
And John, the doc says, for those two segments, time for a Broder emoji. Yeah, we do need a Broder emoji, man.
Yeah.
That's big time.
I have a big head.
Yeah.
All right, Broder.
That's why we love Broder, man. I appreciate you joining us, Broder.
I appreciate you having me.
Where can people find you?
Twitter, MattBro21. Otherwise, everything on Woodward Sports. Hit up woodwardsports.com for all the articles, and check out our Twitter, Instagram, Facebook,
yes,
TikTok,
sir.
all of that.
You'll be back. They have practice off today, right? But when
Gabby will be down there tomorrow and Thursday.
Okay, she'll be holding it down.
Yep, I will be there on Saturday.
Cool. All right. Well, there you have it. Matt Broder covers the Detroit Lions for Woodward Sports. Always does great work. Again, check out his articles, woodwardsports.com. We steal a lot of his articles for topics, so we thank you for that.
Hey, I love it.
But we'll go to break. When we get back, we'll talk a little bit about the MLB trade deadline, what the Tigers might do, and so much more. But before we do that, Sam Flannel, where can people get the best haircut?
Oh, that is Lady Jane's, of course, and I think I have the best haircut, but I think I need to get a new one soon so I can have it looking as good as Jeff Iafrate and Matt Broder and Jeremy Bryant and Lucas Klotz's haircuts, because we always look fresh up in here. And how would you like to win a new vehicle for you and a friend? That's right, a new car for you and your wife, girlfriend, or best bud. Just get to Lady Jane's and automatically register for your chance to win, courtesy of Les Stanford Buick GMC of Ferndale. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
The Sports Marketing Agency would not be who we are without great community partners like Higuera Health and Carol Zaniga.
It's an awesome opportunity to partner with your organization. Higuera Health is a comprehensive behavioral health organization. We serve children through older adults with mental health, substance use, and developmental disabilities across Western Wayne counties, and really excited to now be in downriver communities as well. Give us a call at 734-458-4601.
You have an opinion? Make sure it's seen and heard. Tweet us, hop on the YouTube chat, slide in the DMS at Woodward Sports on all social media. The only sports network in Detroit that starts with a W. Because we win. Woodward Sports, Detroit's winning sports network.
Play, practice, and party at 5 Iron Golf Detroit, located inside of the Cambria Hotel. Downtown's newest sports bar has taken 13 TrackMan simulators, certified instructors, and a full bar and restaurant. Mention promo code Woodward at checkout for 50% off your first visit, and visit 5irongolf.com to tee up good times. That is 5irongolf.com.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button. We'll try to get you over 150 likes by the end of this segment. Before we get to what's trending with Lucas and Mailbag, and we close out the show. But if you can't watch the show live, it's all good. Go back, re-listen. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Morning Woodward Show. Leave a 5-star review. Just got done talking to our good friend Matt Broder, who was breaking down training camp for the Lions. You go back and re-listen to that. But more importantly, right now, it is trade deadline day for the Detroit Tigers. I think 6 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken, is the time. And Scott Harris has been trying to cook in silence here, and it's being reported, and this is per Bob Nightingale, who, again, is USA Today Sports Major League Baseball columnist. He tweeted this out yesterday, and I want to get Sam Flannel's thoughts on it. He says the Detroit Tigers are definitely trading starters Eduardo Rodriguez and Michael Lorenzen. It's simply a case of seeing which team blinks first with their high price tag. Sam Flannel, number one, your reaction to that, but number two, what are some things you're looking to get done today? If not, anything at all?
Yeah, I mean, stuff obviously has to get done. The thing is, Michael Lorenzen and Eduardo Rodriguez, they have been two of the bright spots on this season's Tiger team, but they're not really part of the future. Eduardo Rodriguez is obviously going to opt out this year because he has that ability to. And here's the thing about this Detroit Tigers team. They had a chance to sort of play their way into contention in a bad division, but instead they have played their way out recently. And at that point, you have to trade two of your best assets in order to get some prospects for the future. Something the Tigers haven't done very well as of recently, but that point notwithstanding, it still has to get done. The thing about Erod and Michael Lorenzen, which is good, and I think Tiger fans should be encouraged by, is that this season, their trade value right now is higher than it was at the beginning of the season for both of them. Eduardo Rodriguez is having the best season of his life. He has an ERA under 3, and nothing really in his past history would indicate that he would do that, but he has this year, and contending teams are always down to find starting pitching because the reality is when it comes to baseball, especially high-end winning baseball, starting pitching trumps all. And then Michael Lorenzen, he obviously was an all-star this year. I thought it was kind of a fraudulent all-star selection, but you know, in the start before the All-Star break and the couple starts after, he actually pitched very well, pitched 3 consecutive shutouts. I mean, not 9-inning shutouts, but 3 consecutive games of allowing no runs and winning all 3 of them. And he has pitched his way into having the best season of his career as a starter as well. So there's going to be some teams that need pitching that think that they can contend. So I'm looking to maybe get a top 100 hitting prospect at some point. They need to get something for these two because they are both at their peak trade value that they have ever been. And I think Scotty Harris, this is his time to break the trend. Don't get hauls like they had for Justin Verlander and JD Martinez, where you got guys like Daz Cameron and Dawel Lugo and Alcantara. Not Sandy Alcantara, I think it was Sergio Alcantara.
Of course.
Or even Jake Rogers, who has done a little bit of something this year, but still, that's still not a good haul, I would say.
And Big Show Pick says, I'm glad it's not Scooble and Mize. Yeah, no, of course not. I mean, Michael Lorenzen and Eduardo Rodriguez, you already hit on it. But again, for two of your best assets that I'm assuming contending teams are going to be looking for, there's your value. If you want to get anything back, you expect the Tigers to be sellers, of course. There's 2 teams. You're either buying or selling. The Tigers, with where they stand right now, 6.5 games out from Minnesota, it's at that point. And today's the deadline. You're going to have to make a deal of some sort. I'm not saying, the Tigers got to go out and make a huge splash, but at least get prospects, get something to start rebuilding this team. Because, again, I know the narrative, and when we had this discussion last, we talked about the Tigers, it was a couple weeks ago, because that was the last time they were worth discussing, when they were like 4 games out of the AL Central, and people kept bringing up, well, why trade Eduardo Rodriguez? If this is a team you feel like is that close, it's over now. 6.5 games, maybe it took a little longer for people to kind of get to that point of, I'm cool with it, sell Eduardo Rodriguez. But there's by the time this team is even good, you want to sell those guys at the highest price tag you can get. And right now, Eduardo Rodriguez, Michael Lorenzen, who you mentioned is an all-star this year, one of the hottest pieces I think will be dealt at this deadline. There's no doubt Scott Harris can get prospects, can get assets for those guys. So it's not surprising. You still have young players too that are promising for the future, no doubt about it. Eric Allen is chiming in too. He says, and that's exactly what I believe you. That's exactly what I believe you and I think will be done. I'm excited to see who he can bring in based on the players he's brought in that have played well this year. And that's the thing I guess we can safely say about Scott Harris. You go back and look at trades that Al Avila made, and and you go back and you look at previous trades that, were involved in pitchers. It didn't necessarily work out the greatest.
No,
but we can say that safely Scott Harris, at least his evaluation on who he brings in, it'll be a better trade package. So that's why I'm a little more comfortable saying trade Eduardo, trade Michael Lorenzen. I think if this was Alavila, you'd say, please don't. Please don't trade these guys. You don't know what you're getting back. But I think Scott Harris will get the best deal. Like this tweet talked about, it's simply a case of seeing which team blinks first with their high price tag. There will be a team that blinks.
Sure, and the thing about Scott Harris, too, is I know these aren't really world beater signings, although I would argue one of them is, but a couple of the players that Scott Harris brought in the offseason kind of cast-offs were Matt Vierling and Tyler Holton. Matt Vierling has been one of their best position players. That's just fact. And Tyler Holton, I would argue he was snubbed of an all-star spot. He should have had Michael Lorenzen's spot because he has been one of the best relief pitchers in Major League Baseball. I'm not saying those are anything really to write home about, but like I said, with Tyler Holton, you got a guy who really nothing indicated that he would do this year, and the last I checked, his ERA was either in the low 2s or in the 1s, which is absolutely incredible. And that's the thing. Obviously, as I said before, the ghost of trades past is alive and well. It is haunting the Detroit Tigers as we speak. I forgot to mention even Franklin Perez. Has he even pitched a minor league game yet? I'm not trying to knock on a guy for arm issues, but when that happens, obviously it's affecting. And oh yeah, I forgot to mention, what about Austin Meadows for Isaac Paredes? I actually saw a crazy stat. Isaac Paredes has hit 40 home runs with the Rays since the trade. Austin Meadows has played 42 games for the Tigers. So as much as there shouldn't be pressure on Scotty Harris because he's new, I think their philosophy has looked a little bit different this year. They obviously walk more, which is huge.
Yeah.
There's still some pressure on him to actually get a decent return because Alavila sure as hell wasn't ever able to get one. Not one.
And
he didn't win a trade.
At least the bar is set so low.
Yeah.
The bar is set so low for Scott Harris, like in terms of winning a trade from what Alavila did. And you bring up Austin Meadows, which is it's funny to think about too when he was first acquired. Yesterday's price is not today's price. Austin Meadows' price before he got to the Tigers is just not the same price he is right now, but it is what it is. It's exciting, to say the least. I know the Tigers are in a tough spot, but even being 6.5 games out with what we expected them to do this season, I can't sit here and be completely negative.
It's not today's price.
Thank you. See, that's facts right there. I can't sit here and complain about the Tigers because I think that's why people get lost when we talk about, who wants to talk about the Tigers? It actually hasn't been that bad. I know the last week it's been bad, but in totality this season hasn't been awful. And if you're moving forward, I think Scott Harris is getting this team at least on the right track. Very interesting day today. Check out our socials, Woodward Sports. We'll be covering all the trade deadline, any moves the Tigers make. They'll be all talked about there, woodwardsports.com as well. We'll go to break. When we get back, we'll get to what's trending with Lucas. But before we do that, Sam, could you tell everybody about our friends over at Swiss Insurance?
Oh, absolutely. The best insurance you can have. And are you planning or sponsoring a golf outing this year, kind of like yesterday? Ask Swiss Insurance about hole-in-one putting contest and $1 million shootout. For a very affordable amount, you could give away a huge prize like $10,000 or a new car. Help build your business with big ideas. Check out Swiss today, swissins.com, or call Mike at 248-800-4177. Again, that is 248-800-4177. Swiss Insurance.
Since the dawn of moving people, Chevrolet has led the way. The world of transportation is changing. At Feldman Chevrolet, we are leading the charge forward. With every electric vehicle, every mile traveled, one Feldman at a time. The company that puts more Chevys on Michigan roads is now the #1 name for Chevy electric vehicles.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show, everybody. We're getting to that time. You know what time it is? 9:42. Check your watch.
Hey.
I don't have a watch, but if I did, I'd check it. It's 9:42. It's What's Trending with Lucas. Lucas, what do you got for us?
Oh, I got some stats cooked up for the both of you. For the both of yous. So, we obviously know I'm not the biggest Matthew Stafford supporter.
Oh, jeez.
And
Yeah,
I
you're just
like
a
me
hater.
some Jared Goff. So I'm going to put up some stats, and I want you guys to pick. Are you picking Detroit Matthew Stafford
Jesus, man.
or LA Jared Goff? Let's look at them. So, start off on the left. You guys can read for yourself. You don't need to hear my voice to narrate these.
Okay.
But Goff, he's getting them in most of them.
Okay.
And we talked about
again,
how injury-riddled Jared Goff was in LA. Well, Stafford was more injury-riddled in Detroit.
Who said that Jared Goff was injury riddled? Did someone
I know
say that?
Flannel said it a couple times. JB and Spence, or not
Did you
JB,
really say that?
Easy and Spence always harp on it. JB's never really been one to.
Jared Goff was injury riddled in LA. I've never heard anybody say that.
Oh, that's like a big
It's
narrative.
like a real
on him.
thing.
Towards the tail end.
I don't know if I say injury riddled, but he had an injury.
Yeah,
I
he
wouldn't
had
say
that thumb injury,
injury
and he actually still won a playoff
Or
game.
I'm sorry, turnover riddled.
Oh,
my fault. My fault. I don't know
sorry.
why I said
okay.
that.
Okay, well that.
Turnover
okay,
riddled.
that.
My fault. My fault.
And I want to say this too, just to go down these stats. Quarterback record, yeah, okay. Well, I think we can put some context into that. One had, Patricia. One had Caldwell. One had, Jim Shorts. Jim Shorts, not Jim
Schwartz.
Schwartz.
Is a dog.
Jim Shorts, not Jim Schwartz. Jim Shorts. And then one had Sean McVay and Aaron Donald. But regardless, completion percentage. Yep, Jared's got him. Passing yards. But actually, that's one thing I do give Jared Goff credit for, the passing yards. Like, he's close to being in a class, like, fastest to hit, whatever, how many passing yards by the age of, 30 or whatever it is, with Matthew Stafford. So the yards thing, I understand. I think he's underrated in that realm. Passing touchdowns, it's similar. Interceptions, it is what it is. I mean, these are, for me, and I'll make this argument, I don't think it's this significant difference between Jared Goff and Matt Stafford. What I do think is the difference is the ability, like the talent, the arm talent. I do think Matthew Stafford is more talented throwing the football. Now, whether that results in turnovers, it is what it is. And he had the season, at least even the year he threw over 40 touchdowns with LA, he led the league in interceptions. But you can't sit here and argue that. I think we can all agree Matthew Stafford's more talented. But in terms of them, they're pretty similar. One just was able to get the job done when it came down to it.
Who would you rather have in Detroit right now?
Oh,
I'll
Matthew
make
Stafford.
That the question.
Matthew Stafford.
Stafford, even with the bad back?
Oh, at this point,
that's what I'm saying.
I guess.
Like right
now
in
you
this present day.
Okay, now you have an argument. Yes, he's injured. Probably Jared Goff. But if we're talking both in their prime, Matthew Stafford every day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Flannel.
I'll say that.
I mean, both in their prime, Matthew Stafford. I'm not like some Matthew Stafford nut hugger or anything like that. I just don't think that he was responsible for the franchise's ineptitude to the level that you do, Lucas. I think he didn't always have the best situations. He was obviously one of the big black marks is that they obviously never won a playoff game with him, and his record as a starter against winning teams was pretty damn awful, but a lot of times he would put up good numbers and his defense and other factors would let him down because it is a team game.
Mm-hmm. All right, so present day, 2023, Goff or Stafford?
Goff.
Yeah.
JB?
In their prime, I'm going with Matthew Stafford. But as of right now, today, I'm going with Jared Goff. But to be honest, they are fairly similar.
What about you, Broder?
Goff.
Right now, yeah.
Prime and... Are you going prime Goff too?
Oh.
Well, no. Give both answers.
Well, it's tough because prime, like, Goff's 28. So, like, there's still,
it's a tough question. I mean,
the prime thing with quarterbacks is just stupid because, like, you could have Gino's 33 and had a career year.
We'll say peak LA Goff.
Peak LA Goff versus peak Lions Stafford?
Yeah.
I'll take Stafford.
It's tough. I mean, Stafford is definitely the more talented quarterback, but in this offense with Ben Johnson, like, Jared Goff's, the type of quarterback that Jared Goff is perfect. Like, for
fair.
how he gets the ball to his weapons in this offense. So it's tough.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll stick with the Lions. Over the weekend, Dan Campbell, they were at training camp, and they were kind of reporting obliviously, and they caught the man putting in a hog. Look at this thing. This is as Dan Campbell as it gets.
He's putting in the dip? Oh, yeah, buddy. Look at him. Oh, yeah, that's my coach.
Campbell's one of those dudes who, we went down to Iowa and did Kentucky.
Look at it. He does it's the hand
and
flick.
the hands on the hips right here. He gets locked in. 3, 2.
That is like, yeah, that's a man's man, dude. Like,
so my question is, people were kind of giving Dan some crap, saying, "Oh, that's not who I don't want my players having a coach like that where you're unprofessional." So what do you have to say as far as Dan? A lot. He gets criticism, but he's not a professional coach. He doesn't really lead how you'd want an organization to look. So what are your responses to that?
That's the softest thing I've ever heard.
Well, I agree, but
that's
2023.
I've heard a lot of like things that are soft. That's up there. Like, my coach is dipping. What the? Are you kidding me? Like, who gives a shit? Can he win games? Like, I don't care if you're whatever you do on the sideline, as long as you're not smoking meth. I don't give a damn what you do. If you're out there popping a dip in the bottom, the top decker, bottom decker, I'm cool with that. You got a little bit of dip in there.
At least he's not doing Zens either.
Hey,
Young Ho Koo, do you see the
yeah, I mean, Young Ho Koo was popping some zinnies in there. I'm cool with that.
Dan's a real man.
I'm cool with that. I don't give a damn. That that is bad. Please. People actually had a problem with that.
Flannel, you ever pop
what kind of society do we live
like that?
Here's the thing. I don't like when he is made a cult hero because of things he does when he's not a coach. I thought the race car helmet thing was stupid. I thought biting kneecaps was stupid. I thought his interview where he may have joked that he didn't know what the play call was during that pass to Penei Sewell was stupid. And I think this dip thing is nothing. It shouldn't be treated as something that makes him a hero or something that makes him unprofessional. I just look at last year, how the team didn't quit on him and how he did galvanize that team from going from a 1-6 start, which he had a role in, to at least having them be a good finish. If they win a playoff game, if they win the division this year with Dan Campbell as head coach, I'm cool with it. If they don't, I will have some questions.
Jake says, hey, I mean, he says, hell, you could smoke meth if you deliver dubs.
That's actually true. That's actually 100% true.
Walter White. Dub.
I mean, Lucas, I'm desperate for dubs.
I'm trying to think. Have there been any pro athletes that got busted for meth?
I don't know about meth.
I don't know about meth, but that would be bad. I'm sure there is. Yeah, but
JB, you have any thoughts?
No, I mean, I don't really care about this. Like, I don't mind that our coach is a little different. He's an oddball, which is kind of in our favor as well too. You want our coach and our culture to be different than every other team in the NFL right now. So as far as it goes, hey, as long as he's still delivering wins, I could give a shit.
The guy's
I could care less.
He's just buzzing on the sideline. Like, it is what it is. As long as he's focused.
Dan's being Dan. Simply put, just let them.
Sorry, I didn't mean to. I got something from old Griffin Lackey in the back, one of our sales guys. I'd love to hear Flannel's takes on the Mel Tucker cigar picks. Oh boy!
Oh gosh!
Oh, boy.
Let's go!
Do we have?
Let's go! Griffin, what'd you do?
Okay, so here's the thing. It's the same thing.
Put some context around it first, Flannel.
Okay, so after the 2021 season, where the Michigan State Spartans had a good year, more because of Kenneth Walker than anything. Obviously, they extended Mel Tucker, and there was this deal with Tuck coming and all that, like how Tuck's coming, how now he's actually a better football coach than Jim Harbaugh, and a lot of the things that people looked at as folk hero aspects were, he takes pictures with cars, he smokes cigars and all that. Isn't he so cool? So that's why it gave me immense pleasure, to the point where I was a psychopath, a diabolical psychopath, when Michigan State didn't even make a goddamn bowl game. They were 5-7, and they took that ass whooping at the Big House 29-7. Mel Tucker is going to get fired after a 4-8 season, and that's just what it is. And by the way, Michigan fans, do not be scared about going into East Lansing at night. You still got to beat them by 3 touchdowns. No excuses. That is what I think about the Mel Tucker cigar picks.
We'll leave it at that. We'll get to mailbag.
Hold on. I'm not going to let Broder's comment just slide by. Like, this man didn't just drop some bars. He says in the YouTube chat thread, when MCDC puts a dip in the top and the bottom, it's called the double decker, but when he puts the dip in the left side, it's called the Taylor decker. That's a bar right there.
Protect the left side.
I mean, are people really hating on him in with a double decker? Like, if he wants to dip, so be it. Who gives a damn? I don't know. Be you.
Broder, were you throwing hogs in when you were pitching at the U of M?
No, I wasn't. I never understood. I didn't care at all about it. I never understood how you could get into a batter's box with a buzz on and try to hit a baseball. I hope the people I was facing were dipping.
Yeah, it's like hockey players too, man. You know, throw a little dip in there, you get out there on the ice. It is what it is. No problem. We'll get to mailbag. Get your questions ready. I know we always do people dirty. We always have a short mailbag. But hey, our apologies. We'll get to as many questions as we can. Get the questions fired off, because we're going to get to the first ones. So if you come in a little late, we might not get to you. Before we go to break, though, I got to tell you about our friends over at Guardian Alarm, because, guys, they got customized solutions from real experts. They got 24/7 professional monitoring, and they got technology backed by people. All you got to do is call 1-800-STAY-OUT today for more information. Call 1-800-STAY-OUT and tell them your friends at Woodward Sports sent you.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show. It's mailbag time. Don't forget, as we go through this mailbag, hit the like button before you leave. Support the show because we gravely appreciate every single one of you for taking time out of your morning. You could have been anywhere else. You chose to be with us, so we appreciate you for that. We'll get to mailbag. Jamcat, what does Sam got to do to get an emoji? It's a good question. We got to get Sam an emoji.
I mean, that is a good question. I would like one. I think there are a lot of people in the chat that would like me to have one, and I think there are a lot of people in the chat that would not like me to have one.
Big Show Pick says, mailbag, if you could pluck one non-QB player from around the league who can make us a Super Bowl favorite to put us over the Eagles and 49ers, who would it be? Man, for me, I would say either Quinnen Williams or like a Nick Bosa, Micah Parsons, like a dominant either interior defensive tackle, a guy who can just generate pressure up the middle, or an elite edge rusher. Those are my two picks. Notice how it's not offense. Although it could be, I'm going to go defense.
I'm going to go Tyreek Hill.
Because those are two.
Wow.
Wait, what'd you say?
Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill?
Our secondary is fine. Our D-line's fine. I'm just trying to think of an offensive player, because if we go defense, I'd probably go Nick Bosa or TJ Watt on the other side of Hutch. Micah Parsons would be good, but I just think for like a truly offense you couldn't do anything about, you put Tyreek Hill in the mix with J-Mo and Amon-Ra, Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs. Like, nobody's keeping up with that speed.
Yeah, no, it would. I guess
that's my pick.
That's interesting.
No, I'm not arguing. It's fine. Tyreek Hill's a damn good player. I just think of 49ers and Eagles, like that offensive line, man. Like I need someone that wrecked that game.
Yeah, but I mean, look at the Dolphins' offensive line isn't anything crazy, and Tyreek was going crazy there, and the Lions already have a solid O-line.
No, Tyreek Hill's he's a game changer. He really is.
I think he's just the ultimate. Like, there's no one else around the league that can even compare to the things that he can do on the field.
What about you, Sam? What do you think?
I would probably go with a guy we were talking about a couple days ago, Chris Jones, because I think moving forward, he is going to take over the best defensive tackle in the NFL. And I could argue that he had the best season by an interior defensive lineman last year. And I think it's only going up at least for the next couple of years. So give me Chris Jones to just give a stalwart, dominant interior defensive lineman with the bookends of Hutch and James Houston.
Coach Walk 37 mailbag. Can we switch Lucas with Sam and let Sam and Pat Caputo do a graveyard show on Sunday at 2 a.m.?
Oh, man.
Oh, no. I don't think Sam Flannel wants to do that. So, Sam, you ain't going nowhere.
So I guess, Coach Walk, the way you feel about Lucas is the exact opposite of how you feel about me. And that's all right.
Coach Walk's my boy.
That's
my dog.
And that's all right. Lucas is...
Coach Walk, a legend.
Lucas is the man. Everything you say about him is correct, but,
This question, Jack asks, mailbag brother, did you know Sam is a Chiefs fan?
I am not a Chiefs fan.
He is not. He's a fan of Mahomes. People just run with that. Your take on that. Is that fair? You can be a fan of a player, right?
That he's a Chiefs fan or a
no,
Mahomes
he's
fan?
a Mahomes fan.
Well, I thought he was a Mahomes fan, but why didn't he pick Patrick Mahomes as the only player to add to our team to take us to a Super Bowl?
Non-quarterback.
Oh, did he say non-quarterback?
You did say non-quarterback.
Then
Absolutely.
correct me.
Who's someone you choose? Non-quarterback. If you could take one player.
Non-quarterback?
Non-quarterback.
I was going to say Chris Jones, actually.
That's fine.
Be a dominant defensive tackle or Sauce. I mean, even throw him into the mix. Sorry, Jerry Jacobs.
Hey, Jerry. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I love Jerry Jacobs.
No, he's a dog, but come on, Sauce is like, dude. If you drop Sauce, that would be amazing. Vincent, how much would Jeff cost if we scan its barcode? I don't know. You try
it. That was the comment of the day.
Yes.
WW chat for that one.
Vincent, hey, Vincent. That one was money. I can't lie. That was a good one. let's see. Let's try to get to some of these questions before we end the show here. Jesse asked Mailbag, Sam, you love stats, right? Here's a stat for you. Mel is 2-1 versus Jesus Jim, and both wins were the smartest guys on the roster. What will it be? What would the excuses be if MSU wins this year?
I mean, there are no excuses. I would probably want to jump off of a bridge, if I'm being honest.
Jesus Jim.
if I'm just being honest. And yes, Mel Tucker did win the 2020, and in 2021, yes. That would be the soundtrack of my life, JB. There's no excuses. Michigan is clearly the better team, and even going into MSU, that is an environment where Michigan has won many times. No excuses.
John Lord says, Mailbag, first you wanted Troy Weaver's job, then Stevie's job, then Jeff's job. Now you want Campbell's job, Flannel Sam.
I don't want any of those guys' jobs. I didn't. Man, you can't say one thing even slightly critical sometimes. That's the problem I have with Jamison Williams. Getting back to it, I say one thing. I say one thing that's like completely fair, and it's like, you guys want him run out of town. You guys think he's a bust. There is nuance. There is a gray area, people.
Hey, Dante asks, Mailbag Flannel Sam, are you disappointed that the Jets are resting their starters for Thursday night's game against the Browns?
No. It's preseason. Why would what use is
you don't get to see A-Rod out there.
In preseason, I don't care. I probably won't even watch.
Lucian asks, what game are you all looking forward to most that isn't a Lions game?
Week 1?
I guess just in general.
I love watching Mike Tomlin week 1. Like he's never lost a week 1 game in his career, and most of the time he comes as an underdog, at least recently. And I'm not sure who they play week 1, but I'm excited to see the Steelers. I'm excited to see how George Pickens turns out this year. But I think they're going to be a sleeper team, so I'm excited to watch the Steelers week 1.
I would say for me it's Jets and Bills. I want to see. I want to see Jets and Bills divisional game. I think that are two teams. Even Miami. I think that whole division I want to see. To be honest with you, excuse me. Yeah, we'll call it there. I want to go. One more question. Just because we want to get to, we always do people dirty, so we'll get one more.
Yeah.
Chuck asked Mailbag, why didn't Sam call out Izzo and his pro Howard take yesterday?
Yeah, that was you know what? If it was last second, and he was very, very nice. I wanted to show respect to him, but yeah, I completely disagree. I think Juwan Howard should have been fired the second that the season ended.
Imagine Sam says that to Tom Izzo's face.
Yeah.
Michigan had 2 top 15 picks and Hunter Dickinson, and they didn't even make the damn tournament. Should be fired automatically for that.
Yeah, well, there you go. That would have been hilarious if he called out Tom Izzo. Tom would have been like, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I want to say, though, thank you to every single one of you for joining the show, for sticking with us till the show is ending. We appreciate you. Before you leave, hit the like button on the stream. Show some support. We love you guys. Again, thank you so much. Your support is not unappreciated. We acknowledge. We try to get to everybody in the chat. In the morning show has the best audience, I believe. It's the best. You guys are always bringing it. Broder, we got Kool-Aid, Booner, everybody showing support on the show. Even Griffin in the back, man. We seriously do appreciate you guys. Without you, this is not possible. So we'll end it there. We'll have a good show planned for you guys tomorrow. We'll bring the heat. Until then, Jeff Iafrate, Sam Flannel, JB, Gabrielle D. Phillips, Lucas Klotz, and joining us today, Matt Broder. We thank you, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.